Stick to the podcast. Anticipate. No bits.
This is good.
Thank you. Today's going perfectly.
Yes.
Great day.
It's going as well as the opening hit we see in the movie The Killer, David Fincher's The Killer, where everything goes perfectly.
So good.
One of the things that's happening is a fun return of an old recurring character on this show, construction in the building.
Mr. Drill.
Now, it's not, previously it was construction at the building next to us, which now is quite erected.
There's a lot
Quite
of it.
erect.
There's a lot
Quite
of
erect.
it. It's getting there. It's getting hard.
Yes, it's getting hard. It's past the semi-flaccid
I
stage.
told you, did I say on Mike what was happening in that building? Like that I called the guy and they were like, yeah, we're destroying a foundation with like something I call the hammer. like a vehicle so powerful it smashes skyscraper foundations.
We are obliterating fossils.
He literally
We are
called it
fucking
the
up
hammer.
dinosaur bones. That's so funny.
He was like, that's the thing. Once that's gone, nothing makes noise like that
Yes,
thing. Like
which
that
is
thing
true.
shakes the
No,
earth.
because now it's like in the last whatever it's been 6 months, 9 months, whatever it's been. I have no sense of time anymore. Now there's like half a building erected and it's been quiet as a mouse.
Yes.
But there's some work happening in what sounds like the unit right next to us.
Well, there's no unit right next to us, but there might be above us. I don't know.
Somewhere
It's near us.
Near us. And it's not as overwhelming. It does feel like a Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross score,
Yes.
does it not? There is just that sort of like uncomfortable. Like,
Is the score up for this fucker?
No, I was trying to fucking listen on the subway here because I was reading this fucking the world's heaviest comic book,
That's
The
a big
Complete
boy.
Killer by Giacomo and Mats. Giacomo and Mats. And I was like, I should listen to the score while reading this, and it's not out there, so I just listened to Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, you didn't listen to, every song in the Smiths catalog?
Could have done that.
You know what? I could have done that.
Could have done that. Are
You know
a
what? I could
Smiths
have done
boy?
that.
I had such a Smiths
I
phase.
like them,
Me too.
but this is like, we were talking about this the other day, the Lynch thing, where I'm like, I feel like people think I'm being cagey if I'm like, I like the Smiths or I like David Lynch, because it's like, no, either you hate them or
Right.
your life at some point was built around them.
You're saying it as someone whose life was never built around it, but
Right.
that doesn't mean you don't.
And I was like, anytime I hear the Smiths, I like it. Sometimes I choose to put it on. I don't go deep on it. After watching this movie, maybe it'd make me better at shooting people. Or worse.
Yeah, I don't, nothing in this movie you're like, if I could only be like him, I'd be good at my job.
He's pretty good with like a nail gun.
There's stuff he's good at.
Anyone would be good with a nail gun if they were
I've never
inches
used
from a
an-
person's
I've
torso.
never used a nail gun.
You
I don't
overrate my
know.
ability. I would fuck that.
You'd
I would
somehow-
fuck that up.
There's like a nail in your head.
Yeah,
son.
I'd nail myself. This is Blank Check with Griffin and David.
I'm David.
I'm Griffin.
There you go.
Ooh, I'm Marie.
Hey, Marie.
Ben is not here, unfortunately. Life circumstances. Marie is jumping behind the console
She's
on the ones and zeros.
and zeros.
She's on the ones
and
twos.
Yeah, ones and twos.
Sure.
If this episode sounds like shit, please direct all complaints.
If the episode sounds like shit, it's only the fault of the construction.
Okay.
Perfect out.
I don't know.
Perfect out.
Perfect cover.
Marie.
Empathize, don't improvise. Oh, wait, I'm messing up the line.
A genius thinks of 10 ways they can catch you. I'm not a genius. You only need to think of one, right? Or what's the fucking line he has?
That's a good line.
You know what I'm
I
paraphrasing.
do.
here. It is perhaps said better in this movie, directed by David Fincher, acted by Michael Fassbender, and written by Andrew Kevin Walker.
In Drill Studio.
Yeah.
When was your Smiths phase?
It was
When was
high
your
school
Smiths
into
phase?
college.
Yeah.
I very clearly remember getting dumped
Who dares?
by a guy named Blake in
All right,
college.
Blake.
And then
Jesus.
walking along 14th Street at night, listening to I Know It's Over
Well,
on my iPod and crying to myself as I walked past the Taco Bell.
first of all, Blake on blast.
Yeah.
Second of
Blake on
all,
blast.
R.I.P. to the 14th Street Taco
I
Bell,
was
which
about
I
to say.
recently saw, is no more.
What? Yeah, it's gone.
One of my favorite fast food locations in Manhattan.
Oh
Like,
my God.
Totemic.
No. Now, to be fair, there are still Taco Bells.
There are, but
you
that
know.
No, but that one, that was the birthplace of the Taco Bell Drawing Club, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that
Yep.
was like a Jason Pollan
Yes.
thing, R.I.P.
R.I.P. the great Jason.
Like, I think it
Um,
literally just moved to like 13th and 3rd.
I think
guys.
they're
Like, it's,
getting rid
you
of
know.
Well,
all
yeah,
the
no, they're-
old Taco Bells and just doing the cantinas. And that was
Yeah.
one of the last Taco Bells that was like held together by duct tape.
I mean, there was a Pizza Hut in there at one point as well,
There
right?
was very briefly a barbecue chain that my dad went all in on and then got kicked out.
He invested in it.
Wait, what?
You know what?
Or he went all in on me. He like parked himself in a seat.
He ate their ribs and he was like, gentlemen, where do I invest?
That's the kind of thing my father would have
Right.
done.
They'd be like, sir, we don't. And he's like, I'm leaving the money here.
I'm opening up a franchise location in my apartment. My dad's still paying off 20 years
What was the
later.
barbecue?
I think it was called Stubbs Barbecue.
yeah. that was a
sure. Well,
thing.
that's you can get
Isn't there
like
sauce?
bottled sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they briefly tried to make it a restaurant. My dad was
Possible.
like, I'm putting my money down. Stubbs is the next great chain restaurant. Why are we fucking talking about
Good
this?
stuff. I love this.
There
There's
was
a lot
also-
of chains in this movie.
Right. There
Yes.
was the Taco Bell that got replaced by a piercing shop next to the IFC. That was a really great one as well. And the one near UCB. Those were the last three like Mos Eisley Cantina Taco Bells rather than the upscale Taco Bell Cantina.
I do love Taco Bell.
Me too.
But to me, it's like the moment has to be right.
Yeah.
And then when I do it, I'm all in. I'm not getting two things. I'm getting like a bag where they're
same.
like, this is your one?
And Taco
Like,
Bell,
you know.
a little bit like the Smiths, break glass in case of emergency. Did I just get dumped?
Yeah.
I'm buying
Yeah.
12 things from Taco Bell tonight.
Right. Am I allowed to wallow? Or am I like being a teenager? Am I like playing video games all day with my friend or
Yeah.
something?
My Taco Bell time is, when I go to a 9 or 10 p.m. screening,
Yep.
didn't eat dinner
Mm-hmm.
because I was stupid,
Yeah.
Yep.
get home,
Yes.
come kind of drunk because I did get
That's the
drinks
big
before
thing.
the movie.
Incredible. I am too drunk.
have
Yes,
to
and
eat.
Taco Bell
Marie.
on Seamless
Oh.
Yeah.
does
It'll get
deliver
there
to my
fast.
apartment
Yeah.
after midnight.
Is it the
So-
one on Nostrand?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Good Taco Bell.
Yeah.
My old Taco Bell.
I love a Crunchwrap Supreme.
You've been there.
I know. Way to post-docs yourself.
Well, I don't live there anymore.
Post-docs.
But I think that one's a cantina, the one on
It
Nostrand.
was, but then I think it
Did they
uncantina.
An uncantina.
They were quick to cantina, and every time we went there and tried to take advantage of the cantina, they were like, "We don't do that
Yeah,
here."
I would say like that location, that little Fulton and Nostrand, like
Yeah.
you don't want a cantina there. People
No.
are out all night, in that area. You don't
Yes.
want someone walking in at 3 a.m. and being like, "Give me a, whatever they do." Mojito.
No, but this is a part of the
I'm a
cantina
fiend
thing.
for 'em.
Is that people don't have to like
I know.
talk. You just
Yeah, you
much
just
like the
pick it up.
killer. You just tap 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 tap.
Well, that's what we're talking about. It's true.
It's a podcast about
the
filmographies,
thing
directors
about-
who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks and make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce baby. This is a mini series on the films of David Fincher. We're concluding our series,
Bye, David.
The Curious Pod of Benjamin Buttcast. Today we're
Oh.
talking about The Killer. His new release. His new Netflix
film
picture.
that prompted this series.
Yeah.
A mini series, if you will.
Mhm. I think it's
and
more of a maxi series, a limited maxi series.
I agree. It's a limited maxi series. It's 40 minutes and over
Yeah.
if we're submitting to an awards.
Uh-huh.
You know how like fast food, it used to be like, walking up there and be like, "Hey, can I get number 6?"
We used to have to talk to people.
Exactly. But like, it's like you couldn't go up there and be like, "Listen, here's what I want. I want 10 nuggets. I want a cheeseburger with extra pickles. I
Right.
want, another cheeseburger with no pickles, but extra
Yeah.
now you can just like, do your sick little order on the computer.
I disagree.
You disagree that you
I
can't
was
do your
just
sick order?
no, well, you can, but I was just at a Whataburger at Dallas Love Field Airport yesterday.
Oh, she's
and I-
at a Whataburger.
I had
Should I wave the Lone Star flag?
Ye freaking ha! But I had a full conversation about adding ketchup and mayo to my burger because Whataburgers are mustard forward,
Yes.
and I don't like that. So I
think it
need to have
depends on
ketchup
the
and
chain,
mayo.
though. I mean, this was Burger King's whole thing for so
Also,
long.
it's
Have
like
it your way.
The South people are nicer. They
Yes.
talk to you
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
But I do like that I can just kind of be like, I want something really awful. And I can't tell you. But I can put it
that's
in
what
a
I like.
computer.
I like not having to talk.
Yeah, that's
to
why
people.
like at the CVS, the like self checkout kiosks are so successful because people don't want to have to talk to
Well, then you're
the
like
people
buying
when you're buying
condoms.
condoms.
Yeah, you know.
So
we
it's
all
like
were rushing towards the
shame
same.
purchases.
Yeah,
you just want
I
to cut out
show up
the,
with 20 boxes of condoms.
the middleman.
And
Bucket of Mega Lube.
But these don't expire for another decade, right? Because I might be sitting on them for a while.
Do these age actually? Like it'd be good
Do they
if they
get
actually get stronger.
stronger?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm going to be building up to using these.
I bought condoms in bulk from Costco once, and it was one of the most
That is a bad decision.
arrogant things I had
know.
ever done.
Yeah, that's inviting a drought.
I was, yes.
So lame.
Yes, it was underlining a failure to come. It was the reverse of Babe Ruth calling his own shot.
Right.
It was Babe Ruth pointing to the garbage can and saying, this is where those condoms are
No,
going.
or it's Babe Ruth pointing to center field and then like he gets hit in the head with the ball and has to retire from baseball. The guy's like, fuck you pointing at the same. I'm going to hit you in the head.
Came with a collectible tin.
But the killer is set in a world
Yes.
we might recognize, given
Tap,
that
tap,
it is
tap,
our
tap,
world.
tap, tap,
Right, where it's like you barely have to talk to anyone anymore to arrange very complex things
Yes.
from gym memberships to assassinations.
Yeah.
Correct.
One could argue the film is a comedy about how we've created a world that is ideally suited to sociopaths.
Right.
You could question whether it
And a
helps
gig
breed
economy
sociopathy,
that
but the people who
extends to
already
murder.
have those tendencies, boy, are they fucking feasting. Yes, gig economy,
Murder gig economy.
murder gig comedy. Jesus.
Giga comedy.
I've been reading.
That's a new Pokemon.
I've been reading
He's,
the complete
looks like
killer.
Andrew Dice Clay, but he's got,
I've been reading the complete
Yeah.
killer, which is 750 pages long.
it looks like the Alan Moore From Hell volume or,
Yes.
Yeah, I
Craig
have
Johnson's
that.
Blankets or whatever. Like
Yes.
it's a big,
Mhm.
big,
It's a big ass
sucker.
Home.
Book, and I knew that the movie is fairly loosely
Craig
adapted.
Thompson, not Johnson.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Craig Johnson directed Skeleton
That
Twins.
sounds right.
I hate sometimes just how quickly my brain
God damn it.
fucking ties the red string from one thing to another.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this book the size of my butt, that is the complete
Your butt is not that big, my
killer.
friend.
This book that's 5 times
It's got
the
your
size
butt beat.
of my tiny flat ass. This book has more curves than my butt does. This
You're reading that
squared off
book,
flat
and
book.
yes, that book is not set obviously in 2023.
No, I didn't
Right.
realize this comic started in 1998.
Oh, what a time!
And I was saying to Marie, I think Fincher did not even glance at any of the volumes past a certain point. I'm trying to figure out where the cutoff
Sure.
part is, but it feels like everything from the movie is basically taken from the first 200 some odd pages. And they've continued doing new volumes of The Killer up through 2018. I think there's also a new one coming out to tie into the movie.
Wasn't this optioned a while ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I saw this.
There's a dossier. I can look it up.
I'll-
Oh, we have a dossier for this episode?
JJ.
JJ will make you a dossier for your fucking bowel movements if you ask
He's
him
the
to.
killer of dossiers. He just goes tap, 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 tap. I can figure out how to do this. I saw this film last week. I went to a screening where one David Fincher was in attendance, along with Andrew Kevin Walker.
Yeah.
And the editor
Okay.
and the sound designer. Forgive me for
Editor
forgetting their
Kirk
names.
Baxter, of course,
Correct.
who I've talked to. Very nice man.
Yeah,
Sound designer Ren Kleiss.
I believe so.
Talk to him too.
Yeah.
For Mank. He's really awesome.
Both rad as hell. It was a great.
Ren Kleiss is very cool. Sound guys are always cool because you're like, what did you do? And they're like, let me tell you. Like they're always so excited to tell you about whatever baffling shit they did to get a sound.
I talk about this with my dad. Sound guys, and Marie, I wonder if you have the same assessment. Sound team almost always uniformly the best people on
Yeah.
a set.
Cool people.
Yep.
Cool. Always cool people.
Yeah.
And cool in some ways that are commonalities across all of them. And sometimes they surprise you, but it's always cool surprises.
Where did you see it? Where was this theater?
Whitby Hotel. It was a fancy.
Oh, that's a very nice screening room,
Yes.
though. Did you get the little candies?
I got a little popcorn.
All right. No candies?
No. There was no moderator.
Oh, shit.
What?
And David Fincher was like, we have no moderator, so just we're opening it up. And you're like, dangerous.
Dangerous.
And
Sure.
then it was mostly sort of like guild members from different guilds.
It was an award screening. Yes.
Right. But it was like, first question was like, hi, I'm also a sound mixer. Super detailed question. I'm like,
Amazing.
this
That's
fucking
good.
Q&A rules. Everyone was asking questions that weren't like, how many days do you take to shoot? Is there any improv in the film?
In our modern generation, how can stories be told for younger audiences
There was
with no attention span?
One dumb question I'll maybe get to, but it was like a real brass tack screening.
That's awesome.
And Andrew Kevin Walker was like, we worked together a lot, but he
Yeah.
had not gotten a proper screenwriting credit on any of his films since Seven.
It's our first on-screen collaboration, right?
He's like, I'm always
credit-wise.
happy when Fincher calls me.
Sure.
He calls me in like 2008. And he's like, I read a comic book I really like. He sends it to me. I read it. We get coffee. He's like, I think backstory's overrated. I think there's a spine of something interesting here. Here's how I'd structure the movie. It's like 5 things. right? And he's like,
The
1, 2,
chapters.
3,
Right. Yeah,
4,
yeah.
5. Andrew Kevin Walker's like, okay, write it down, wrote down the notes of his 5-point plan of what the movie is. Just reduce it to basically these 5 chapters, these 5 like movements, 5 actions, right? And he's like, and then line went completely cold. Presumably they continue to work together in little capacities.
Well, let's think. Like, I guess he wasn't really involved because he was very involved, I feel like, in a lot
First
of the
half of the
earlier
career.
stuff.
Yeah.
But right, I don't think he took a pass on like Social Network or Dragon Tattoo, obviously.
No, but maybe he's
gone.
developing
But he's,
other stuff.
you know, they're friends. Yeah. And like they worked on one of those Love, Death, and Robots. They worked on one of those.
But he just says for 10 years, it never came up in conversation once again.
That's so funny.
And then 2018, he goes, do you remember that killer thing? I do want to do that. And he's like, here's my approach to how I would do it. And Fincher recited, because I still had the notes, I could check it, word for word, verbatim, 10 years later, picking up the thread.
Right.
The movie is these 5 things.
Right.
And he was like, and now I'm set up at Netflix. I want you to start working on it. So that's when they like really crack into it. But there's 10 years between him identifying it, picking the co-writer, not commissioning the script, a word not being written, and then him being like, let's go, let's do this.
That's crazy.
I don't know what JJ found in his research, but that's how Andrew Kevin Walker told it.
Who knows what swill he's dredged up for us.
Hell yeah.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that is certainly what you hear about Fincher is right. It's like it's just in his brain.
Yeah.
Whatever the idea is, or then, yeah. And then it's just sitting in there until needed. Like some kind of mad computer.
Yes. Yes.
Just in case no one can hear it.
Friend of mine, friend of the podcast, Ben David Grabinski, who watched it last night, texted me and
He's going, what a burger. He's hanging with Ben David Grabinski.
We're texting.
Oh, text.
Are you jealous?
So jealous.
He was like, fucking killer rules. You guys must be so excited that you get to end on a rad one. I was like, yeah. And he was like, it's Fincher and Soderbergh land.
Yep.
So true.
And it's not just like stylistically, but it's like even the attitude of him being like, haven't done a Hitman movie yet, right? Let me strip it down. Let me like play with just actual craft. There's something to, it's not like this is a minor movie.
No, but I think it's going to be taken as one.
Totally. Because
fools.
Soderbergh, who works so much faster, will be like, you know what? I haven't done an erotic thriller. I haven't done a this. I haven't done a that.
Right. But he's kind of like, all right, take your clothes off. And then I'm going to shoot this sunset. And I think we're done. I'm going to just send that over to HBO. I'm sure they'll do something with it.
Fincher is so much more meticulous and process involved and so long in development that even when he's making something like Panic Room that's a bit of a genre riff, it feels like, well, I have to load as much into this as possible. And this feels like him being like, let me just fucking strip it down in a way that is very cool.
I agree with that. I think the Soderbergh mode thing, totally true. Marie, where did you see it?
They're obviously very good friends.
I saw,
Obviously.
yeah. Well, wasn't Soderbergh watching like several cuts of this?
Oh, he logs it.
That's my favorite part of the log is seeing like 20 cuts of a Fincher
rough
movie.
cuts of a Fincher, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
I saw this movie at a 10:40 a.m. screening at the Alamo Drafthouse with a bunch of fucking sickos.
Well, Marie, I assume you mean the Alamo Drafthouse in New York City.
It was, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you saw it in Texas. Okay.
No, I was thinking
you saw
about
it and then you
seeing
went
it
right
in
to
Texas, but then I decided to see it in New
You
York
saw it
before I
before
got
the
on the
flight.
plane to go to Texas.
To be clear, you flew to Texas for a Toy Story themed birthday party.
That is correct.
But
well,
with
it was
Cars?
It was a Toy Story / Cars hybrid second birthday celebration.
Which I made it very clear to Marie's nephew that I thought he was muddying the cannons a little bit and he should try to keep them clean. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
There's no Whataburger in New York, right? Did they attempt one once?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just wanted to go there.
It's growing on me.
It's good.
As
your wedding, it was invoked many times at your wedding.
Because my father-in-law does not
who, by the way, is charming as hell.
He is. He's
that
great.
was a charming.
Your father-in-law rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. His name's Manny. He looks like a Mexican Charles Barkley.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah, but his speech was about how, I'm great, except I don't like Whataburger.
You're not like an automatic fan of Whataburger.
Right.
Whataburger.
But I'm like, as I said, mustard forward burgers. It's not a natural fit for me. So, it's taken time.
But you just have to learn the language to make the adjustments to have it work for you, I guess, which it sounds like you're doing.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I saw this film at the Paris, Netflix's own Paris theater. Technically part of New York Film Festival.
Right. It's a screening I was supposed to go to and it literally got like rained out of making it in time.
It was wet. It was a wet night.
Yeah.
In Midtown, but I did see it there, sitting next to Jeff Wells and all those fun folks. Jeff Wells was about
the killer of the online film blogging community.
He recently called me like a Marxist or something in Hollywood. I can't remember which thing he called
nominating
me. Right. Yeah. He identified me as part of like the sort of Maoists over at Gotham.
Maoists. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So shout out to you, Jeff. I saw it, loved it.
Yeah.
Was so excited for other people to see it. I'm sad it's not getting a 3,000 screen release or whatever.
Although it's getting a slightly wider release than other Netflix movies.
It was playing in the Dallas metro area, so I could have seen it outside of New York if I wanted to, which is cool.
So
you saw it with Dang Ass Fincher Freaks like first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning on Friday.
Yeah. And was there a pretty healthy crowd?
I would say there were maybe like 20 people there.
Okay, all with bucket hats?
No bucket hats. There was one guy I thought might be Todd Field.
Okay.
Because you know how like
I believe it.
During his
he's got a big hat though.
Yeah, well, it was a guy wearing like a really big baseball hat. And I was like, is that the main baseball, whatever he was wearing?
Yeah. Was
not Todd Field. Okay. But I was the only woman. And it was just a bunch of, freelance people. I had 2 iced coffees and 1 order of apple cinnamon donut holes.
Are they any good? Yeah. Well, we all saw it disparately, but
I felt so privileged to see it in a theater because I regret for all of you people watching this movie on Netflix, but the sound design is really spectacular.
You texted me after you saw it and you said it's a great way to end our series because it's so autobiographical.
Well, yes.
It is. I think so.
I think my enjoyment of this movie is like at least 60%
Fincher making fun of himself.
That's
how I took
being
it.
completely immersed in
not
Fincher.
Maybe making fun of himself, but making fun of how we perceive him or how he thinks we perceive him.
You want my reductive, like, quippy take on this movie?
Sure. It is Fincher. Can I just not go to your letterbox?
I haven't posted. I saved it for the episode.
I'm joking. It's a little joke about how some people use their letterbox, including me.
Yeah.
What is
and what a waste of the platform.
Sick. It's sick that I won't write 1,200 words for every movie I see.
Here for serious criticism.
And instead I say like whatever, X person, more like hot person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. What was your Zodiac Redo? David Tossi bowtie.tumblr.
On 2 separate times without thought.
Yes.
I didn't know that I was doing this.
Basically. Yeah.
I praised Mark Ruffalo's bow ties and Elias Koteas's necktie.
Right.
Because they're both great.
Yes. My letterbox type quip on the movie is a psychological horror film about David Fincher imagining a reality where he's only allowed 1 take.
Oh, that's so
right?
Good.
But the moment when he misses the shot in the movie,
I know.
I was like, that's what this is.
That's his nightmare. He wakes up in a cold sweat.
To the thing that he obviously feels some frustration about his process being reduced to or focused on.
Yeah.
But it's like, this feels like a self-admission where he's like, you know why I do so many fucking takes? Because if you only get one, sometimes
you shoot
the
high-end
mistress.
dancer. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
No one can get it in 1. That's insane.
Duck Killer.
I didn't bring this up in the episode, but when I watched the Dragon Tattoo with the commentary, there's a moment where Daniel Craig walks back into his house.
Oh, is it when the bottle falls?
Yes.
I was wondering about how they did that.
The bottle falls off
the fridge.
The fridge, and he like catches it underhand and like throws it over to the other hand, and then like kind of has a little like moment of like, I nailed it. And then walks over to the table and the cat is in the perfect position in the frame. And Fincher was like, it's one of those takes where like there's no digital aiding there.
Right.
There's like no setup. That actually just happened. Everything lined up perfectly. And you're like gripping onto your armrest being like, is something going to blow this take? And it didn't. And I was like, holy shit, that was a miracle. Let's do 2 more.
Wait, was the bottle falling intentional?
No.
Okay.
Right.
It just happened one time.
So cool.
And Craig nailed the catch. And then turned into such a movie star moment. And then the cat performs the right way, where the cat was apparently always like temperamental on that movie. And Fincher says the story as a sort of like self-parody of like, I wasn't even happy with that take.
Yeah, right.
And then I did 2 more before I went like, what the fuck am I doing?
I got it. Yeah,
right,
I'm
it's
definitely
never
using that.
There's no miracle better than that.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is the movie where it's just like, this guy's like, I don't improvise. I come with a plan. I prepped. I've storyboarded. I hire the best crew.
Yes.
I have the best equipment. fuck? What if I fuck up
I'm
and then
listening.
I have to live with
won't
this
shoot
script?
until I'm fucking 60 BPM.
Right.
All that shit.
David,
Yes.
the number one thing your mom wants from you this holiday season is to call her.
Okay.
And you could give her a call, of course. You could. You could give her the thing she wanted.
Right.
The thing-
Telephone call.
I just outlined that
Hello.
she wanted. Definitely the thing my mom wants the most.
Sure.
But you could plus it up a little bit. You could add something on top.
Can I just drop the call and add whatever this is?
Maybe that's probably what I'm going to do as well.
All right. What is it?
An Aura digital picture frame.
Explain.
It's the phone call of gifts.
Okay. What is an Aura digital?
Well, it's an
frame?
amazing way to stay in touch, David.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say you got a family member who lives far away from you. My mom does.
That's true.
When you miss them, you know, people talk about using pictures and videos to stay in touch, right?
Yeah.
Leafing through old photo albums, scrolling through your phone, right?
Okay.
Well, Aura frames were named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter, and Fast Company said this simple, stylish digital picture frame can replace social media in your life, so you don't have to log on to some cursed app, dig through your photo roll to find memories of old mama.
But it's like she can have it, and then like I can upload a new picture to it, and she can see what I'm up to.
Yes.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
You can kind of communicate through pictures, and if you ask me, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so who needs the lousy phone call anyway? Maybe my mom should just chill out and not get on my case about not calling her enough.
Very true. Okay, well, I have something to tell you.
Yes.
From now through Black Friday and Cyber Monday, visit auraframes.com and get $40 off their best-selling Carver matte frame with the code CHECK. This is their best deal of the year, so get yours now. That's auraframes.com with the promo code CHECK. Terms and conditions apply.
It's one of Oprah's favorite things.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
David Fincher is the filmmaker we're covering today.
Yes.
He made Mank. I mean, it came out 3 years ago.
He manked the Mank.
He's been in this Netflix stable for 5 years, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like he's had this deal for 5 years.
That sounds right.
Like I know that this is like technically the last year of a deal he signed.
Yeah.
But that's only for features?
I think
like,
it was
he's had
just,
a Netflix deal like
he's been
forever.
working for Netflix,
Right. Yeah.
but like I think they were like they gave him some sort of overall deal.
Because remember,
and Mank and The Killer have both come out of that.
He
and
jumps
maybe
to
Love, Death, and
HBO
Robots.
and sets up the
Utopia?
3 shows that don't go there, and Videosyncrasy and the third one I'm forgetting that didn't get very far at all. He sets those up after House of Cards. Then he does Mindhunter, and then I think he like signed specifically a movie deal, which makes sense with 2018 being the year he goes back to Andrew Kevin Walker and says like, time to get the script done. I can make The Killer at Netflix.
Right.
Well, he also had one other unrealized project, a prequel to Chinatown that he's been working on with Robert Towne. I mean, God bless David Fincher and do what you want, but I don't know if you should do
Have you
that.
seen it's, The Two Jakes is like kind of good, right?
But that's a sequel.
Right, but I'm just saying that is like a universe that has been expanded.
But like
In a
that
way
stars
that-
Jack Nicholson
And
from
people
Chinatown.
hated it at the time.
Yeah,
and it's largely forgotten.
It's a pretty flawed movie. It's interesting.
I think people still think of that as like an untouched one and done masterpiece. They
Yeah.
just ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is no young Nicholson.
And I also
No.
just do we need to be...
There's no one fills that role.
No, and even in the way that like, you know, there's increasing talk about Heat 2, a movie we hopefully will get to cover in some years.
I'm pro Heat too.
Right. But like everyone's sort of like wish list casting is like, well, you just do it with Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac.
Yes.
And it's like those guys are not one-to-one with De Niro and Pacino, but you're like, that works.
Serious actors with tons of integrity.
And they kind of have a similar, like they've circled each other for a while sort of thing. But like,
There's no
there's
Nicholson.
no one analogous to Nicholson right now. No one.
No.
I don't know how you do that. It would
mean-
specifically be a Jake Gittes.
Yeah, it's his time in Chinatown with Lou Escobar.
Okay.
I mean, of course, then the other thing he did was that VAR show. We talked
Right.
about that. You know, so he's done other stuff for Netflix as well,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
But instead, The Killer, he also, you know, he gave some interview. He was like, we're working on this Chinatown thing. And then he was like, I'm also playing with adapting this French graphic novel about an assassin that I've always liked. Paramount initially had the rights to this.
Okay.
Back in 2007, Fincher told them to get the rights.
In
around
his Zodiac, Benjamin Button double feature.
Correct.
Period. Yeah.
Yes, the book was released in 1998, but it wasn't released in English until 2007. So that's when he noticed it.
Yes. The other thing in France comics, bande dessinée.
Yeah, bande dessinée.
Yes.
Bande dessinée.
David pronounced it better than I did.
Bande dessinée.
France, basically, their main medium for comics is like the midway point between a single issue and a graphic novel.
Right.
They are like thin hardback books that are not like 30-page issues, but they're also not like 150-page compendiums of a run. So I think there are a series of the bande dessinée before it finally then gets adapted over here into like the first volume, which is maybe the first 5 chapters,
right.
Which I think seems to be the thing that Fincher really read and took to.
When I lived in France, I was really a big comic book reader, and that was like the best thing about France was it was like my comic book consumption is not interrupted whatsoever.
Yes.
Like this is a country that understands me buying my weekly comics. Like that's back, I used to go to the store and buy like 8 comics a week or whatever.
Tremendous
like
long-standing
debilitating
appreciation
addiction.
For the art form. Like,
and I like
comics were taken seriously in France
for a very long
decades
time.
earlier than here. Yeah.
And it's always like some guy who's actually called like Jean-Jacques. Right. It's like, what's your actual name? He's like, Metz. My name is Metz. Beep, beep. Metz, actually, apart from being a comic book artist, had also worked on video games at Ubisoft.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's got credits on Rayman 3.
Okay.
Good game.
Yeah.
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, not one I've played. He came up with the character. He thought about it maybe as a novel, but then he was like, well, it's all silence and monologues, so visually it would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts working on it as a comic book.
There are
his notion is just like imagine what a hitman thinks about while he's waiting to do his job. That's what I would say.
Right. So there are a couple plot points shared in broad strokes, but this is one of those things where Fincher really could have been like, I'm writing an original screenplay and not option the rights or given credit if he wanted to play dirty pool.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like the main thing he's jamming on like is movie in the head of Hitman dealing with the mundanity of it.
Right.
That's the thing, the biggest thing he's taking from the book. The character in the book, I would argue, is quite different.
Okay.
First of all, in the
no
Q&A,
bucket hat?
No bucket hat.
Burn the book. I don't even want to hear about it anymore. Throw it in the fire.
In the Q&A, the one stupid question was this woman was like, Michael Fassbender is so good in this. And the accent, I cannot believe the accent. How did you get that out of him? And Fincher was like, well, I saw Prometheus. I said, that guy's a good sociopath. Write that down for later. I'll find a use for him.
He has these card catalogs that just had like romantic lead, sociopath. Truly. Like he's just like throwing people.
There's maybe a second movie he listed, but his line was truly, he went like.
There are many movies that you could watch and think like, wow, this Fassbender guy is giving sociopath.
His line was, he says like.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Fucking Assassin's Creed. I mean, like the list goes on.
He's like, I go to see Prometheus and I go, sociopath. Write that down for later.
Like, he's one of those actors, though, like that when it was like Fincher's working at Fassbender, you're like, yeah, well, they work together all the time. And then you're like, right, no, they haven't.
They haven't.
Because Fassbender kind of got big after Fincher stopped making a lot of movies.
Yes. And then also
but
Fassbender.
But they do seem a match in terms of
this
process.
And Next Goal Wins, which I think is, by the time this comes out, probably the most acclaimed film of the year, right? Is marching its way straight to an Oscar sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Are like his first movies in almost 5 years.
Yeah, well,
he's
gone all in on racing.
Fincher said he had to structure the shoot of this movie
around like Le Mans or whatever.
Like what's the down season for racing where we have a very specific window where he will do this.
He is 100% into car racing. I believe Porsche is actually his manufacturer.
Oh, when I said Ferrarying, I meant just the movie.
You more meant like
Ferrari.
Masculinity is a prison.
Yes.
I do this insane thing and risk my life.
No, he's been Ferrarying out of control.
Like, we haven't talked about Ferrari yet, but like that is the vibe of Ferrari. It's not like, ooh, cargo fast, how fun. It's more like, why do we do this to ourselves?
A little bit the vibe of Michael Fassbender these days too, of like masculinity in crisis.
Yeah. I guess he's in Next Goal Wins.
As I said,
wasn't that movie filmed like 15 years ago?
Yeah. But before that, what was his last film? Before these two?
Is it like The Light Between Oceans or one of those?
My question.
Jesus, is it that far back? Okay, well, let's take a look.
There's like basically a 5-year gap. Wow. Fucking Dark Phoenix. 2019.
He's all over that movie.
He is so in that movie. It's insane, Marie.
He's definitely in every act of it. It's that clever thing they do where you're like, well, Fassbender's in the whole movie. And you're like, well, sure, for 5 minutes at a time every 25 minutes.
Because they do like the budget version of Krakoa where he's like, I built a city.
I built a city. See, there's 6 people here in this field.
And I can be on set for 5 days and we can distribute these scenes across the entire length of the film.
And then there's the insane action sequence in the movie where they cross the street.
Yeah.
Like literally an entire set piece of them crossing a street in Manhattan.
Yeah.
He's part of that.
Yes.
Don't really remember. I don't even remember what like his goals are in that.
Okay,
movie.
but that's 4 years ago.
Wait, and then what was right before that one?
Light Between Oceans?
Oh no.
Oh, Harry Hole.
Yeah.
Yes. He had 2 movies really break him in a row, and I'd say Light Between Oceans to a lesser degree.
Well, Light Between Oceans was even before. That was like
got
before
Alien
Assassin's
Covenant
Creed.
in there
as
well, which is, he's very good
and
at
he
that.
joined the Creed and gave
he joined the Creed and he trespassed against
performance of a lifetime.
Steve Jobs, no good.
Steve Jobs felt like the level up moment for him where it was like he finally got the Oscar nomination that people thought he was snubbed for 12 Years a Slave and supporting.
Sure.
And then he gets the lead nomination in Steve Jobs, and even though that movie bombs, it's like, welcome to the club, Fassbender.
Yeah,
you're one of our serious leading men.
If you're going to do a big performance, we're going to pay attention.
Right. And then he's like, the X-Men movies at that point are less unstable, where it's like he's got a franchise that's still going. He's gets to make these movies, and then the wheels really fall off.
He's good in the first X-Men. He's good in First
fantastic.
Class.
Yeah.
I don't really remember what he does in Days of Future Past at all.
That is a movie I'm so curious if you were to watch it now, would it completely like disintegrate in your hands?
Yes, it sucks. I've rewatched it. I'm not a fan of that movie.
Yeah.
Apocalypse, he destroys Auschwitz and goes like that, but I don't remember anything else that he does in that one. Like that's his big moment.
It's just wild that he made 4 of them.
But it's wild that any of them did.
Correct.
Like you're like, well, Jennifer Lawrence dropped out of the 4th one, right? No, she's in it. Yes, she dies.
None of them bailed ever.
And then they all gave those interviews where they were like, we were just so happy to work with a new director on this film.
Yes.
And that's what's important.
Right. They all very much made it sound like Kinberg was the guy who was vaguely keeping things calm for 3 movies in a row. So we all felt we owed it to him to repay the favor for the one where he was actually director. And it worked out great for everybody.
Well, don't worry, because they're going to rescue the MCU.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah. David and I have been texting back and forth, and I keep on going like, here's a take on how you could
Griff's
save the MCU.
Like, what if you did this? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
David's take continues to be, nuke it from orbit.
Kill them all. Yeah.
Molotov cocktail, run away.
I just keep watching Loki and keep being like, I don't even know who is good or bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a morality has law. I'm literally like, I don't know what the goal is.
Yeah.
So I don't know who to root for.
Yes.
Do we want this to go away or stay? And also, who wants that to, and that's just like, what are these movies about anymore?
Nothing.
What are they about?
They're about nothing.
Okay. The Killer.
They're about nothing. The movie's about nothing. It's a franchise about nothing. They got no stays multiverse. You can bring anyone back with the multiverse about nothing.
I'd say your Seinfeld impression is pretty bad, Griffin.
What are you talking about? What's the deal with my impression? It's pretty good. B movie.
So Finchie's got his deal with.
Called it A+ movie.
His deal with Netflix. He likes the graphic novel. He says he likes the nihilism. He likes the self-loathing. He likes the inner monologue. All these things he tells himself.
And much like
to, make him feel ostensibly better.
Yes.
Is his monologue reliable? Should we take it as gospel? Is he negotiating with himself?
Much like Soderbergh's HBO Max deal, where it's like,
you mean just Max?
I'm sorry. Now it's a Max deal, but the deal he signed with HBO Max, where it's just like, so I don't have to go through the process of pitching these over and over again.
Yeah.
Trying to put too many commercial elements together.
Right.
Can I just like pick a simple thing and load it with a couple stars and you get off my fucking back if the number's small enough? Killer kind of feels like Fincher trying to do the same thing.
Right.
If I get one bankable name for you and it's in a genre that kind of makes sense as a thumbnail image and the movie's less complicated than what I usually make, will you just let me be?
Right. Can I just give me the money and I'll give you a movie in 9 months, whatever. I'm all for it. I mean, I just wish it was in 3,000 theaters.
Here's my take.
Give me 6 weeks and 3,000 theaters.
No, my thing is, yes, I would prefer that he was making movies that were put into 3,000 theaters and given proper runs. Apple TV is currently, Apple Plus is currently the one doing it right, where they like make the thing, they know they'll own it forever, but then they make a deal with the distributor and you're like normal.
Free money.
Right.
It is free money for you.
But also the thing they all find, Netflix has different business strategies, i.e.
they want to destroy theaters.
And also diminishing the meaning of money.
Sure.
Obscuring what money is.
Right. They want up to be down and left to be right. Yes.
I can't imagine how this movie's going to play on Netflix.
I can't either.
It'll be boring because you need to be locked in with it.
You need to be locked in.
It's terrible. Both the movies he made for Netflix, it's like he's like, I'm making these because they'll give me the money to make them.
Yeah.
They're both uniquely bad for streaming.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Okay.
What I was going to say, the upside of like the Soderbergh HBO deal, right? Max deal, which I wish more of those films got theatrical releases other than Magic Mike, is that like he works fast. Right. He accepts that he works in genres that people won't finance as theatrical films anymore. And he's like, you know what? Great. HBO, I get to make 3 of these a year. The trade-off is they're not going to get to go to theaters, but I can like keep them going and I have stability. Fincher works too slowly for him signing a 5-year deal at Netflix to be worth it, I would argue, from our vantage point as the audience.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if the trade-off was these don't go to theaters, but I don't have to wait 3 years between Fincher movies.
Yeah.
It's not like that's an artificial break because Fincher can't get things off the ground. It's because he takes time to do things right.
He does it careful.
So I'm like, if it's 5 years of him taken off the board only to have his shit go to Netflix, and as you said, both of these movies are him making things that he knows the studios wouldn't greenlight, but that specifically don't play well at home.
Yeah, like Mank, I want to hear that sound in the theater. We talk about that on that episode. Here, if I have this on, how is my mind not going to wander?
How are you not going to check your fucking phone? And then you're no better than the killer himself.
Exactly. What you should do is you should watch it sitting in like, a sort of like a lotus pose with a BPM monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if it goes above 60, you pause the movie.
Yes.
In a WeWork.
Yes, in a WeWork.
In an abandoned WeWork.
Funny. The thing I was going to say before I distracted myself with 6 other points. This woman who was like harping on the accent, right? And Fincher says like, good sociopath.
Yeah.
And then she was like, but like do you know he's Irish? Like, that's not how he usually talks. Like, how did he do that?
Fincher's like, you're kidding me. What's going on? Yeah,
yes, true. I think he did that bit.
Right.
But this woman was acting like she has never heard anyone speak in a voice different than their own speaking voice before. But she was like, but was that your decision to make the character American? What is he in the book? And Fincher was like, that's a good question, because I read the English translation. I guess I never considered it.
Yeah, like, what is
the book? This is the Frenchest motherfucker of all time. This is the most Parisian-looking dude in history. You were asking if he has the bucket hat. He's like a man filled with ennui, tiny little glasses, half-smoked cigarette constantly dangling off his lip, thin mustache, sitting outside Parisian cafes, keeps on saying like, I gotta go back to Paris.
Yeah.
There's no ambiguity about how French this guy is.
Whereas this character in the movie he's like an American from nowhere, right?
Correct.
Like that's the vibe.
That's the other thing. Is this guy, as much as you're living in his head, in his internal voice, this guy is like pontificating on shit more. There's slightly more backstory, which Fincher was like, I want the experiment of like, is that necessary?
Right.
Can we make a movie where you only know about the guy in the present? We don't fill any of this in. But it's more that like this guy's inner monologue is closer to Edward Norton in Fight Club, where he's making like value judgments of the broken society around him.
Sure.
Whereas Fassbender's sort of just going like excusing himself and saying like, the whole world's bad. This guy's like stewing on it and is like, I have landed in this position as a moral consequence of.
Fincher's thing sounds better to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book is fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll take me 6 more years to finish reading it. But yes, it's like this guy you get a lot more emotion out of him.
Yeah.
You have a lot more of a real like vantage point and personality. The thing that it shares with the book is the sort of Venezuela kind of Hamlet, his dream away from this job, right?
So it's Dominican Republic.
In the book, it's Venezuela.
Okay.
Sorry. And it's like he has the place, but he's much more consciously working towards like 5 million is the number where when I hit that, I leave this behind and I like retire there forever.
Yeah.
And there's like a woman he's involved with, but it's not as clear-cut a relationship as this.
This is his.
And the book does
partner.
have the thing, or at least this first chunk that Fincher adapted of like the one hit that goes wrong and the ripple effects of it. But the way all of it plays out is different.
All right. So
yeah, that's
like
all
I said,
that's
throw the
really
book
kind
in
of shared in common. It's a good book. It's a good.
No, it seems pretty good. I like French comics.
Yeah,
I'd
but it's
read all of them if I
very
had the time.
loose kind of pulling surface elements kind of thing.
Fincher has acknowledged that they selected a bucket hat early on because they wanted the idea of like this guy wears everything that could just be bought in an airport, right? Like,
he had the dreamer's disease. A joke I've made 10 different times on this podcast.
Well, that's our Vanilla Sky joke.
Yeah,
it's an important joke.
It's an important joke
because in that he actually does have the dreamer's disease.
He caught the dreamer's disease,
right? And then he saw Bullet Train.
Mm-hmm.
And, Pitt had already told him, like, I wear a bucket hat and Bullet Train. He's like, okay, well, you're stepping in our sandbox when you do that, but fine.
Well, I mean, when bucket hats have had like a cultural resurgence.
Who's responsible?
Gen Z.
Oh, God, them again.
Yeah. But sorry, guys. TikTok boys. I mean, like bucket hat. Because it's like, we're bringing back the fashion from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you, Gen Z. It wasn't good then.
No, it was never good.
Yeah, like that wasn't a good time.
No.
The world wasn't singing with life.
Yeah.
Around 2001.
2001, no, but 99?
I mean, look, I was 13 years
that
old.
Was
like
peak New Radicals.
I mean, I was having a good time, i.e., playing GoldenEye.
I had a chair in my room,
Marie,
that I blew up.
As did I, my friend.
Yeah.
Mine was blue. What color was yours?
Mine was yellow smiley face pattern.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I also had a lava lamp.
The thing about
I was more of a beanbag guy.
I had a beanbag too.
Yeah.
But the thing about my blow up chair, which I assume cost $15 because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of plastic.
Yes.
It was surprisingly durable.
Yeah.
Those things lasted.
No, those things were great.
We used to be a proper country. We used to make things.
Yes.
Things to last.
It was probably like leaching all kinds of things into my system, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think the killer could have had an inflatable chair.
That would be funny if he's like, all right, I'm here to stake out.
But I like the two-pronged thing of like everything comes straight from the airport for him. This man exists in transitional
so he looks
states.
like nothing.
But also he says at some point that he based his look specifically on a German tourist he saw who he identified as the guy that people would least want to talk to.
I mean, that's the joke in the movie.
He's
Like, once I look like this, no one wants to talk
half
to me.
anonymous, but anyone who would notice him was like, that guy seems a little annoying.
100%. People are always ignoring tourists. He's not James Bond. Our guy flies coach. This is a Fincher quote. Another one is basically just like he's James Bond by way of Home Depot. Kate Adams is the costume designer. She was an assistant on costume designer on Mindhunter, but that's her only other credit.
Wow.
So Andrew Kevin Walker, as you say, they had been close collaborators. Right? So Andrew Kevin Walker literally worked on the Game and Fight Club. I think he might have also had some role in Panic Room. He's in that movie as a joke,
When the cops were all named after him.
Right. And then he also worked on Fincher's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie that never happened. He worked on a Dragon Tattoo sequel script, I think that, they took a first glance at or
the
something.
Girl with 2 dragon tattoos.
Yeah, we're swerving away from the books.
Yeah, it's just about her get more ink.
I was told the second book, there's a major plot line where she gets breast implants.
She sure does. Cool. Yeah, it's a real sign of how the books are definitely good in every single way with no problems whatsoever.
Romley just saw it and we were talking about how good the ending was. She had never seen it before. And she was like, so what happens in the sequel? And I was like, they didn't make it. And she was so convinced culturally that 3 of them had happened.
Because they feel like there's been so much of them.
Yeah.
And I guess it's that weird combo of we talked about that.
We've talked about it.
But I understand it. Now they're doing
after we recorded. Yeah.
They're doing
the
TV show. Is it on Amazon? I forget. One of the streamers is now doing
the Millennium Trilogy.
Yeah, again as a TV show. I'm sure that'll be good.
He'll be so good. And I'm going to commit here to covering every episode.
Fincher credits Walker with the sort of contemporary consumerist angle that this movie has, right?
Yep.
All that stuff, him interfacing with modern technology today, that was his idea. Things like the, key fob copier.
Sure. I mean, the technology is not in there, but the attitude very much is of the book is very like, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Sure.
All of us are complicit in this. How am I doing anything worse than anyone else? But yeah, I think the way technology opens up the process, which is obviously a thing Fincher is interested in, of like, how would you actually do this?
Wow.
Right.
I just typed key fob copier
Yeah, you can just get 'em.
Amazon Prime. Get one tomorrow.
No, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Fincher literally said to Evan Kevin Walker, like, that's a thing, right? And he was like, oh, I don't think so. Well, let me check on Amazon, put it in. He was like, wait, you can just buy one for like
$20
any fucking
same day delivery.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's so wild. I mean, we're jumping ahead, but that's my favorite sequence of the movie where you're just like him spending the 2 days figuring out how he's going to get into Arliss Howard's apartment.
So good.
Yeah.
But yes, okay. So Andrew Kevin Walker brings in the sort of modern tech angle.
So that's cool. Very clever idea, I think. And Andrew Kevin Walker, obviously, I think he had some of that in Fight Club too, like the idea of the name tags.
Yes,
was his.
That's what I'm saying. The book is very similar to that. And the book is also very caught up in the tedium of like, people think this job is flashy. A lot of it is boring. A lot of it is waiting. But I think Fincher brings to it the energy of the film production thing of like the hurry up and wait energy specifically.
Right.
Of you're like laying in wait, trying to maintain concentration for the one moment things need to count.
The Samurai cited
Yes.
as a obvious.
Very Melvillian film.
I love that film. Do you guys like that movie?
Le Samurai?
The Samurai.
He's a cool.
So fucking good. It's cool, but it's also like this movie. It's like, this is a bummer. This guy's life sucks. He's an idiot, even though he's so hot. He's got a great hat. Well, that Samurai, he has a better hat.
That's the best thing about this movie is that this guy is an idiot and he's not particularly good at what he does. He's better at killing than I am.
Yeah, he's not bad, but
he's not bad,
has a somewhat inflated opinion of himself.
Great.
But maybe no one is great at this because such a weird job.
I'm gonna say maybe no one should be good at this.
Well, I mean, like, so Linklater's Hitman, which is not coming out this year, but will come out sometime soon, also on the Sterling streaming service Netflix.
I'm gonna see it in a fucking theater.
Is kind of like about like that doesn't exist.
Right. That is such a good take for a Hitman movie.
There's no such thing as
I think this is purely a construct of fiction.
Right. Like, sure, people occasionally will be paid to kill someone, but it's not like there's someone who's like, that's my job. Call him and I'll go do it.
Right.
But because people think it's a job, someone can pretend to be one.
Yes, that's such a
and I mean, it's an incredible movie. I think Marie just thought it was okay, but she's wrong.
You thought it was just okay?
No.
Someone else just thought it was okay.
I thought it was good. It was very enjoyable, but I'm like, we used to make these kinds of movies all the time. And I think it's just like a scarcity thing where we're so excited to see this kind of movie.
I disagree with that.
I don't care. I'm really excited to see that kind of movie.
I just want to, on the record, I disagree with that. It's a very Linklater-y movie to me. Like, it's him doing a noir, which is like a weird blend of things.
I was surprised, this isn't a dig against him. It was just more my expectations for the movie. I was surprised at how sexy it was.
Fucking sexy.
Yeah, that was like my favorite part.
He hasn't made
Glenn Powell
aggressively sexy films. Yeah.
I mean,
Linklater.
No,
like before Sunset.
But I'd say those are romantic movies and they're filled with tension, but I wouldn't say sexy in the way that I get what Marie's
definitely
coming
not
from.
sexy in the way that this movie's kind of horny. That's maybe the word.
Yeah,
like that his other films are not so much.
Yeah, well, and it scratched the out of sight itch for me, which is a really good itch.
Look,
that
Glenn Powell
doesn't always get scratched.
An inherently sexual actor, and I'm very excited to watch him in. Let me see here. Sober erotic thriller, Anyone But You. That's what it seems to be from the trailer.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is the way you cut a trailer for a movie with no jokes.
That trailer is bananas.
What the fuck is going on there?
Kind of source. That's some kind of survey that was done. Clearly, that was like, this will trigger some auto response in young people. Like, that has to be what it is.
Fucking responses from CinemaCon. You trust them as far as you can throw them, right? But they're like, the two of them come out, everyone's like, they're fucking chemistry. Are they fucking in real life? And then they played clips from the movie, and people are describing scenes where it's like, he gets stung by a scorpion and she has to suck the poison out. I'm like, yeah, classic fucking comedy shit.
Yeah, it's
sounds
like kissing.
Fun. Some fucking hijinks.
Yeah.
And then I see this trailer and it's like fucking 4 shades of gray is what they're selling. Not even a full 50.
Well, maybe it'll be good.
What the fuck is going on here? I hope it's good. Or else it's going to bomb my fucking Vulture Movie League draft.
Oh, really? You went all into that one? How much did you spend on that?
I don't know, but it was a big bet for me.
All right. So Fassbender, as we know, he basically just drives cars now. But he did like the idea of this movie, like a slow drip suspense thriller. He had not made a movie since Next Goal Wins, which he made before lockdown.
Right. That film was shot in 2019.
Yeah. So he was ready to go back to work. I will say his performance in Next Goal Wins is he feels scared in that movie. Fassbender just feels like not in a good way. It just feels like he's like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And like he's like the worst match. I mean, I've said, it like for like Taika humor imaginable.
Yes.
Yeah. Has he done comedy?
He hasn't. And anytime he thinks about doing it again, he should watch Next Goal Wins. Like obviously he's like funny in like Prometheus or whatever. Like there's like a weird.
Oh, and I think this movie is funny.
And this movie is funny, and like Inglourious Bastards, like he can be funny.
But he's also he's a perfect example of a star where if they announced he was hosting SNL, I wouldn't be like, that episode's going to be good. And sometimes they announce a dramatic actor and you're like, you know what? I bet fucking Adam Driver's going to cut it up. And he gets in there and he does. Yeah. And I don't feel like Fassbender could like get goofy.
Adam Driver, for when he did work on Girls, which was on Now Comedy,
no,
but like
he's 100% funny. Right, he's maybe not the right example.
No, I think he's a solid example.
But you know that thing sometimes where they'll announce like a totally serious actor is hosting SNL, and you're like, they might show us a side we don't know about them.
Right.
I mean, I didn't watch anything with Pedro Pascal in it except The Last of Us.
I mean, he was so fucking good.
And he was so funny on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I didn't know you were a silly boy.
I'm trying to see the last
serious actor
out, and I mean Brendan Gleeson, but that guy can be funny, obviously.
But that was one where when they announced that episode, you're like, this is gonna rip.
Yeah,
end
you're
to
like,
end.
oh yeah.
Putting that guy in any wig is gonna be funny. I mean, Walken is like kind of the most extreme example, and Baldwin to a lesser degree of like neither of them were doing that much comedy before SNL. It did kind of totally shift there. They'd done a couple comedy things, but like
Baldwin was funny in Married to the Mob, and Beetlejuice is like a light comedy. Yeah,
But he's doing a different type of funny in those. You're right. I mean, he was more funny. Fassbender does not strike me as funny. Fincher said in the Q&A that like halfway through filming, Fassbender came up to him and said, I think I finally get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
He said, what? And Fassbender went, precision modeling.
Oh, wow.
And he said it with this tone of like, yeah, I get it now. I can do that for you. And Fincher was like, that kind of makes me feel like shit. But he's not
that
wrong.
Makes him feel like he's, playing Warhammer or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. But he said like, I think it was, the editor was the one saying this of like, he is so incredibly still in this movie. And for so many like long held shots where he needs to be like maintaining his head in the exact same position of the frame for an extended period of time and just giving you like micro expressions. And that is like kind of really extreme, tough technical shit.
Fincher says he's like Daniel Craig. Both of them are kind of like that and are like, I can do better. Like, you know, like the lots of takes. Like Fincher says, like, I can tell him to stop a third of an inch shorter and he'll do it.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy to me.
Precision modeling.
I was very impressed by his yoga posing.
I imagine he's a guy who does a lot of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but imagine having to do that over and over again.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Probably get in great shape. Obviously, Tilda Swinton is also in this film. He's collaborated with her before. She's fantastic in the film.
Bringing back Arliss Howard.
He's bringing back Arliss Howard from Mank. Charles Parnell.
God, I love this guy.
Where the fuck did he come from?
It's incredible because
when he's in Maverick, you're like, yeah, he's from the original movie, right? No, he's not.
And you're like, but I've seen this guy in like 20 things over the last, and you're like, no, not really.
Yeah, like he's done TV.
He's like they discovered a new like alternative fuel. You know what I'm saying?
But like they Jeremy Lin or something where you're just like, where did you get this guy?
Yeah.
He was just available?
Right.
Like,
but also like, did this guy just not register until he turned like 42? Was it a thing where like he needed to hit the right age and the right level of gray? And he's very different in this than he is in Maverick or in the small part in Mission Impossible, which I was like, look, let this guy be like the chief kind of arms crossed, stern disciplinarian exposition giver.
Maverick.
Right. This, he's very different. He's so good. And good Lord, does he have one of the greatest voices working in movies today?
He should narrate everything.
Everything.
He does do a lot of narration.
The other actor we have to shout out, Sala Baker, who plays the Brute, the giant assassin who he fights in Florida. That is Sauron. He is Sauron.
From the movies?
From the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he's a
the
stunt
Fellowship
guy.
of the Ring. He's also various other, like, he's, I think, the voice of, the mouth of Sauron in the third movie or whatever, and he's like various orcs.
Is he a New Zealand actor?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay.
But he's best known as like the physical embodiment of Sauron in that opening fight that they do.
A big chungus.
He's gigantic.
This guy's huge.
But I just love that he's still, that movie's 20 years old. Still gigantic, still in great shape.
Yeah.
Throw Michael Fassbender through a wall, no problem.
If you ask me, I would guess that this guy was like 26 years old now. The fact that he did Lord of the Rings 20 plus years ago kind of blows my mind.
Right.
Yeah, he's almost 50.
That's wild. Yeah. He's also darkly lit in this film, but
he is, but he looks good, and he's All right, 80-day shoot, Paris, Illinois. They shot it during COVID. Fincher hated that. Never want to make a movie through a visor again, he says.
That's another part of the movie that feels very autobiographical of him filtering his experience in film production. Is like this guy's traveling to like places both glamorous and semi-mundane. And in all of them, you're like going to these real locations. It's like, okay, what's my fucking work I have to do? Like he barely registers where he is, where he's getting off the plane.
When he's in Paris, all he eats is shitty fast food.
Right. It's just like, I'm here to work. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Quick. I've shouted out anytime we talk about French fast food.
Yes.
What is Quick?
It's like French McDonald's, and they obviously also have McDonald's.
Right,
but
in this movie, he's eating McDonald's.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but I like Quick.
He eats an egg McMuffin, and he takes the muffin part out and just eats a fried egg between two slices of boiled ham.
Fingers.
Yes.
Quick had a Star Wars tie-in where they had a black Darth Vader burger with black buns that made everyone spend.
I thought that was a Burger King
Burger King then did it.
They stole?
Quick did it first and got a bunch of fucking backlash.
A king doesn't
everyone was
steal.
taking pictures. And then Burger King was like, we should do this too. And then America got funny colored poops as well. Anyway, Quick, good chain.
Eric Messerschmidt shot the movie. Same guy who shot Mank.
Won the Oscar for Mank.
He sure did. And he shot Ferrari this year. He was recommended to watch a little film called The Samurai. We might have mentioned it, by David Fincher. They're not making it look like a comic book, obviously, but
no, the comic is very kind of like graphic pop arty.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, it's a very different look from this.
The Smiths heavy soundtrack. Fincher was immediately like, well, we have to use How Soon Is Now. That was like in my head from the start. And do we then go a full kind of like 80s, gothy kind of like, do we just have lots of things or do we just do all the Smiths?
He said there were like 10 different versions. There was like a Dusty Springfield version of the movie. There was like a playlist of different artists adjacent to or era compatible with How Soon Is Now.
Right.
And they just like kept on trying all of them out and the Smiths felt like the right one. But he also was just like, I just think it's so funny for a hitman to have a playlist.
It is.
To have like, here's the movie that gets me in the mood, the music that gets me in the mood to kill people. David?
Yeah, what?
It's officially time to kickstart your holiday shopping.
Oh, no.
David.
Oh, God, so much to do.
David, there's no cause for panic. It says so right here in the copy.
Oh, phew.
There is no cause for panic because Uncommon Goods is here to make your holiday shopping stress-free.
Okay.
None of that pesky stress.
Okay. I was really worried there. Okay, well, what's going on then?
Here's
what
happens? They do. They scour the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique, one could even say uncommon, gifts for everyone on your list. Whether you're shopping for mom, dad, teenagers, in-laws, best friends, enemies, podcast co-hosts, strangers.
I'm looking at some of these gifts.
Tell me about them.
24 days of tea advent calendar.
That is uncommon.
Bam. Your name in a snowflake ornament.
Deeply uncommon. I've never seen my name in a snowflake before.
You can get, you know how you can get like a song represented as wall art? They have all kinds of very customizable stuff.
Here's what I like. I like that when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. These fine products are often made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season. It's like a curated, handcrafted, artisanal marketplace. And these things are so gosh darn uncommon.
That's all true. There's lots of unique products you can get
High
there.
quality.
I'm a big fan of the you can get a spoon rest in the shape of any state you want.
Meaningful, out of the ordinary.
And so to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/check. That's uncommongoods.com/check for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Hey, and by the way, with every purchase that you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 back to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. That's some uncommon good
Being done.
Yep.
So the killer begins in Paris.
Yeah, we basically have like 15 minutes of him. You're watching him in an abandoned WeWork, staking out an apartment across the place, watching a couple days
fancy building
of him just like studying his target, making sure he's prepped, talking about the process and the psychology.
Sitting in front of a little heat machine.
Right. And talking about like, I'm not a genius. What I do isn't incredibly complicated. It takes some skill. Like he's both undercutting himself and also telling you what he's good at.
Yeah.
And it's like 15 minutes of wind up. He says he's never missed. The only job he didn't have to go through on was the one where the guy ended up dying through his own bad health before he got the chance to pull the trigger. And it's like 15 minutes of just like, here is my life. I don't improvise. I stick to the plan. I get it right. I keep it simple. This is why I never fuck up. Pulls the trigger, misses the shot, shoots the guy's mistress.
Right.
It's so funny to spend 15 minutes winding up. I'm explaining to you why I'm such a professional. And then the first time you actually see him do the thing, it goes wrong.
That's the funniest part. And once it happened, I was like, right, of course, given how long this has taken,
yes,
this had to happen.
Right.
We weren't just going to watch him like pop the guy in the head. Easiest target in the world. He's like sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like it's not like his prey is so complicated. It's like
he also,
I'll wait for him to come to his apartment and then I'll shoot him.
He also just straight up fucks it up. It's not like a fly starts buzzing around his head and he gets distracted and he gets off by an inch. He just like calls it wrong. He's off by a second. He's off by an inch, whatever it is.
Shoots the wrong person.
Right.
Which is not cool.
Right. And you see him trying to time it out. It's not like she moves that suddenly.
No, he had plenty of opportunities to take the shot before.
And he just picked it wrong.
He fucks up. And yeah, I was just like, again, like if we just watched him do his mantras and then he just did it right.
Yeah. Then
Fade
you're
to
like,
black.
Right. What
and
is
then
this
the
movie?
next mission, I'm like, yeah, who cares? Sure.
Right.
David Fincher can make that kind of movie. I believe it. Like that he can make a movie about a guy with ice in his veins.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't need to see that. Instead, he messes up and I'm like, oh, we get to watch how this guy reacts to him messing up. Okay.
Right.
That
and
makes sense.
Sort of watch the way he like dismounts everything, gets himself out of a situation, goes to the airport, like how he is able to sort of like factory reset himself.
Which I love.
And you get the sense that this is basically the exact same thing he does when the hit goes right, but he's just doing it with more pressure and more stress. But yes, the absolute, like, how do I, what's when he sprays the sink after he washes his hands to like get rid of any remnants of what he's washed out.
Yes.
Yeah, and then goes back to his pad in the DR, his humongous mansion, which versus the book where the guy's like, I'm just trying to get to 5 million so I can retire. And it's like, I have a tiny house. There are women here. I pictured the life I want for myself. He's got it fucking made. He should have retired already.
So this is, to me, the core of the movie.
Yes.
It's like John Wick.
Yes.
It's like the more realistic version of John Wick. In John Wick, you know, it's these like ancient samurais basically being like, why do we still do this?
Right.
What is the drive?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they live in a world where everyone's an assassin anyway. But this is like, there's the moment with Tilda that's the key to the movie and it's the best scene in the movie. But it's like, why are you even doing this, buddy?
Yeah.
Just sit in your house.
Yeah.
You're fine.
And it's such a key part of the movie that like, he does not particularly like doing this. He is neither like, this is soul sucking and it's wearing down on me, which the book gets to. The guy's starting to like, some conscience is creeping in. If not conscience, there's some guilt seeping in, right? Yes. This guy neither seems haunted by it, nor seems to get any perverse thrill from it. He's just like, this is my fucking day job. And also, by the way, I have enough money to like have this beautiful like paradise home with like a beautiful girlfriend.
To have like storage lockers all over the world filled with like Jason Bourne, you know, suitcases.
Right.
You
like
know.
When is enough for you, dude? But he gets back to the hideaway and he finds a bunch of blood, a bunch of broken glass.
We're still, as the audience, like so discombobulated.
Right.
Especially because he's not talking.
No.
Right. He's like, okay, go. Right. Like he's not like, oh shit. What do I do? You know, I mean, there's a little of that really.
He just keeps kind of talking mantras to you, but he's not like in voiceover explaining his psychology. And you're like, is this another job he's going to? Is this like him reporting to his superior? Because you've heard the Charles Parnell character on the phone.
Yeah.
You know that's the guy who's giving him the marching orders. You know, he called in that he fucked up.
And the guy's chewing him out. And I'm like, I foolishly am thinking, until he goes to see Charles Parnell, I'm like, yeah, well, now he's like 52-1. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? And it's only when Charles Parnell, he's like, you know that once you get it wrong, that's it.
Right.
Not only are you not going to get hired again, but you're dead.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm offended you think otherwise. I'm offended you're even here.
This is a 0 failure rate
be
job.
Dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm offended you didn't just sit down and die.
Right. But what you realize after, being like totally discombobulated, he goes to the hospital. This is the woman he is romantically involved with. Her brother is there. The brother clearly doesn't like him. And like whether or not he knows exactly what's going on is just like, you're a fucking untrustworthy guy. You have a ton of money. My sister loves you. I have always been worried that you're going to cause her damage.
Right.
And she has been like beat within an inch of her life. It seems sexually assaulted as well. They have no clear kind of answers on what happened other than a green cab pulled up.
Yeah.
2 guys got out, beat the shit out of her. And the brother is like, they were fucking looking for you. They were looking for you, and she got the brunt of it.
She got in the way, right? Yeah.
And he now locks in. Once again, he doesn't verbalize this, so it takes a while to figure out what he's doing. But he's basically, he promises the brother, like, this will never happen to her ever again. And he just feels like, I can go up the chain, work up the chain of how this happened, and kill everyone responsible until the threat is obliterated.
Right.
And he's almost putting out of mind, like, no, this happened because you're now like a liability. No one wants you around.
Right.
Killing these specific people isn't really the point, but he locks into this idea.
It's funny because, again, you know, his whole mantra is like, don't improvise, no empathy. And yet, basically, the rest of the movie is a revenge mission.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, yes, he is technically tying off any threat to himself.
Yes.
But it is also like,
emotionally driven.
Right.
It is the Fincher.
But he doesn't really say that.
It's the Fincher people use language to lie.
Yeah.
And what you were saying in whichever episode it was that we recorded out of order, that he almost always uses narration.
Apart from Button, and even Button a little bit, his narrators are always diluted.
Yes, that there's
like, they're lying to you, they're lying to themselves.
Right.
Like they're not telling you the story.
There is an active tension between what you're seeing on screen and what they're saying to you, how they're framing it. So he continues to like repeat the mantra, and you're watching him go against what he's saying over and over again, but without him saying like, shit, fuck, I fucked up. He's just like,
or
stay
I love
unemotional.
her. How could they do this to her?
Right.
Whatever.
He's treating it like I'm just doing my job, and you're like, no, you're doing the exact thing you say you shouldn't do. And you keep on being a little sloppy about it. And like, right, he goes to Charles Parnell with this nail gun to be like, I need your fucking files. I need everyone involved in this.
First he does the taxi cab driver.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Dominican
next.
Republic. Yeah.
He tracks down the cab driver, Leo.
Uh-huh. Because right, that's all he has is like the color of the car.
Green taxi. It's a green car with a light on it, so he assumes it's a taxi. He finds the taxi.
Yeah.
Makes him drive
Finds
to like
the driver.
under
Goes to
a
the
bridge.
dispatcher.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets the records, finds who like drove from an airport.
Right.
Flies out, finds the guy, tries to get answers
And
out
he
of him.
finds out it's a man and a woman. And
Right.
the woman,
Big guy
and
older
a woman
with
look
white
like
hair.
a Q-tip.
Yes.
Q-tip lady.
Which is just so funny considering, you know, I watched Benjamin Button for the first time, and Tilda Swinton
Plain
is
as
described as
paper.
plain as paper in that movie. And here I'm like, what? Is this like an in-joke that they have where he just like negs her
Fincher
over
just-
not
yeah,
being conventionally attractive?
Well, I'm just like, even if you don't find Tilda Swinton attractive, there is nothing like kind of anonymous about the way
No,
she
she's
looks.
very striking.
She's one of the most distinctive looking
Yeah.
people on the planet. But yeah, this guy is just like, I was not part of some criminal conspiracy. These two people hired me and told me to stay parked there for an hour.
I pick people up in a cab. I'm a cab driver. Too bad, Leo. Bam.
And Fassbender, like, you know, trying to say like, I stay unemotional, that's my secret. even like belies the sort of like, why didn't you ask questions?
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's applying this sort of logic to other people that he prides himself on not having.
He would never do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what I was paid to do.
But he kills Leo, I think, because one, he's comfortable killing people.
Yes.
He's the killer.
Yeah. It's right there in the title.
Wendy Williams was trying to warn us.
Give us all the clues.
But also, you know, I'm tying off every loose end. I'm cauterizing every loose end. Like there will be no person who knows that I was part of this.
Of course.
So Leo is dead. Then he goes to New Orleans.
Yes.
And again, I just love it that they're just like, he's like, and now I have to crack the next biggest mystery. How do I get through this door?
Yeah.
He's not like, now to New Orleans where I will interrogate my handler and solve the mystery of who he hired to kill me.
I like that the film like has him do things without explaining it, and then you just have to kind of like like with the
that's why he did that.
what is he sending a FedEx package?
Right.
What
That
is the
comes up
point
later.
of that? And then it's like, oh, so he can follow the guy, the FedEx delivery guy inside the building.
Yep.
And I'm like, gee, oh man, that's so smart.
In his like Ben Hosley recycling uniform.
It's a real.
It's just like, just put a fucking, you know, some arrows on my green shirt. And now everyone's like, oh, it's the recycling guy.
Yeah, I like that he goes to Home Depot to buy all of his shit, but like people help him put the stuff in his van.
Look, congratulations has had amazing growth in the last couple of years, Ben's fashion line.
Yes.
I wish we were like 3 years further along where there was an official collaboration the killer collab. Because it feels like they could have done
sad
some.
that Ben is not here
Ben
right
is-
now.
I
'cause
am too.
There's a lot of, Michael
It's a Benny
Fassbender.
movie.
We might
shit.
ask Ben to drop in.
He's not
some
here
thoughts.
for good reasons.
Yes.
If he has any thoughts, he can always drop them in.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're like 3 years from now, Fincher might be like, you know who I want to collaborate with? Ben Hosley. I'm a big fan of his work. I want congratulations to Riff
Hog.
on the bucket hat, on the recycle symbol.
A man who buries jeans. That's the kind of commitment to the craft that I'm
He's
looking
showing the
for.
buried jeans video to like Brad Pitt or whatever. He's like,
Yeah.
see, get a load of this guy.
Fincher would hate blank check, love Hosley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He'd have no patience for blank check.
No.
All right. So he goes
but yes.
to see Charles Parnell, who, yes, is not in Ramrod Maverick mode.
No.
He's got kind of tufty hair and a bow tie and a bunch
David
of books.
Toschi
I
bow tie,
was,
yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I agree with you that the Tilda stuff is like the best stuff in the movie, but
It's kind of like what ties the movie together
I-
or
sequence is
whatever.
phenomenal.
I
so good.
loved the New Orleans stuff.
Yes. And-
Because that was like I love the firm. I love like these like shitty Southern law firm with like, shady business dealings.
Sure.
I loved everything about how shitty and like not
Yeah, that it's not-
technological.
Right. It's just some
Advanced.
shitty office.
Right.
And it's like a card catalog because it's
Yes.
like, the laptop is the only thing with any records on it. It's not like in the cloud.
Yeah.
Right. He smushes the laptop. Then
The assistant, like
poor assistant
paralegal
Dolores.
I don't know who that actress is, but I thought she
She's
was
really good.
really
She's
good.
amazing. Her name's Carrie O'Malley. I looked her up and, she's like mostly a theater actor, but she's done a lot
Her
of TV
immediate
and stuff.
resignation, like when it gets to the scene where you expect she's going to beg for her life, instead she lives in a world of such understanding of what she's gotten into where she's like,
Oh my God, she's Mike O'Malley's sister of Guts.
really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Of Sully.
Yes, but also, what was the sitcom? Jesus.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. There you go.
No, I love that you're like ready for her. She starts saying like my kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, she's going to plead for him to keep her alive.
Right. And then she's like, I'm begging. I can hear it. Like she has that line where I said I wouldn't beg and now I am.
No, but
right.
beyond that, she says, basically her ask is, don't make me disappear.
Right.
My kids need to get the insurance.
Right. I need to be dead.
Stage this in a way
Yes.
where my body is found.
Yeah.
Which is just like everyone exists in this world of like bizarre pragmatism. Everyone else has maybe less of a handle on their emotions than he does, although he's rapidly losing his handle.
Right.
You're watching people negotiate through this shit in real time, but they also all kind of like, when face to face with Fassbender, go like, I guess this is what I signed up for. Like Bill was going to come due at some point, whether they survive it or not. And the thing with him, like taking the nail gun to Charles Parnell's chest to try to get the info out of him. And he starts the narration of like,
He's
man,
calculate 6 minutes.
right, 47,
Right.
no smoking habits. well, I have like, right. And he's just dead immediately.
Fuck. It's so funny.
This guy's like kind of losing it.
He's kind of losing it, or maybe he's just, I mean, maybe it's just insane to think like, yeah, I nail gun a guy, he'll have X minutes to live. It's like, no, there's a lot of variables where we're driving nails into organs. Like,
right.
But also he's trying to be the Terminator, right? And he's just maybe not that good.
The thing that is like, the guy's not seemingly having like a mental breakdown or an emotional crisis, but quietly one of the most sociopathic things about this character is that he remains undeterred that he is so good at what he does and he has all the answers despite taking a bunch of L's in a row.
Yeah.
There's no part of him that goes like, am I losing it?
Right.
He's just like, okay, next plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Purnell's just like wonderful.
He's wonderful.
And just so
and
fun.
She's really good. And
yes.
She's the one character you have the vaguest empathy for because she does seem to just be like the office person, right?
Yeah.
But she does know
I'm aware that she's culpable in a total assassin bureau or whatever. But yeah, when he says like, no empathy, right? Like he has to like repeat it to himself.
He says no empathy right before snapping her neck, throwing her down the stairs.
Yes.
And it's like, he doesn't explain the decision, but he's like, look, I'm giving her 5% empathy in a way that doesn't make my life any messier.
Yes.
But even still, he's breaking his code.
A little bit. He's not disappearing her
His logic, it's like, you should never factor those things into considerations. Do the cleanest thing possible.
But,
he's showing her a kindness.
She fell down the stairs.
Yeah. He's showing her a kindness of a thoughtful murder.
Then he goes to Florida. Gets into a fight with Solid Baker. So what does he have to do here? He has to drug the dog.
Yes.
And then he has to fight this guy, and it's like Soderbergh's Haywire or whatever. It's just like they're just going to be throwing each other through.
That was the other movie.
Fassbender was in Haywire.
He sure is.
Until I just looked at his
He's the first guy in it.
He's the opening guy.
Yeah.
That was the other movie that Fincher cited. He said it was Prometheus and Haywire, which makes sense. Like sociopath, but also he does the big extended opening fight in Haywire where you're like, I could watch this guy just do this silently for 10 minutes. He clearly is able to pick this up.
That Fincher was like, 2 movies from 11 years ago.
Yes.
That's how speedy I am.
Well, yeah, he gets this graphic novel in 2007. In 2011, he pins the 2 movies.
Fassbender. Right. Yeah.
And I'm a slow maker.
Yeah.
He's a fast bender.
Yeah, he's a slow maker, slow straightener. This fight's just great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does he kill him eventually? Shoots him? I'm trying to remember. There's so many like
there's the part with the shower, there's part with the TV.
He finally does shoot him. He gets the final shot. I wish this was on Netflix now so I could have watched it a second time before.
While watching it, I was struck by is that like the longest fight sequence in anything he's done?
I mean, probably just because it's comically long.
Yeah.
It's one of the longer fight sequences. Yeah.
I think he said it was 5 days of shooting, but it was 5 weeks of rehearsal. Which makes sense because it's like
so much choreography and it's so much like chaos, like, shit falling off of shelves and all that.
Marie, did you watch Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Kind of had that vibe.
Yeah. There's that one sporting goods store fight that is so fucking good where the guy is just so huge and he keeps on pulling aluminum bats off the rack and throwing them at the guy. And none of it's flashy. Like it's kind of sloppy in the way that this is. But you're just like, I just need to keep on like doing anything I can to slow this guy down. And he's huge, but he also doesn't feel, he only feels lightly supernatural in his pain tolerance. You're like, he is like accumulating injuries. He's not invincible.
But he's still not good. I just still feel like his approach to this situation was not ideal.
No.
Because, like, yes, he drugs the dog, and you're like, clever, great, sure, get the guard dog out of the way.
Yeah.
But then he's just kind of like rummaging around this guy's house, and I'm like, you're gonna get like rumbles.
It also doesn't seem to work right away, the drugging of the dog.
No, it doesn't work right away.
He throws like 3 things of meat at it before it stops barking.
Yes.
But I think of movies like Gross Point Blank, right? Where it's like Cusack going to his therapist and being like, Doc, I think I'm losing it. I'm getting sloppy.
Right.
And this guy just never accepts that he's not doing it very well.
Is Gross Point Blank good?
Gross Point Blank is good.
Because in my memory, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Big movie for me as a teen.
Yeah.
I was a big Cusack fan.
Of course.
He's a hitman.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd is the grocer. But
Arkin is his therapist.
Right. Like one did Minnie Driver, Joan Cusack, Hank Azaria. Should we just name it? Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven.
Have not seen in 25 years.
Yeah, I watched it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I contend it's still good.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it. George Armitage.
Yeah.
George Armitage?
Yeah.
Gross Pod.
Who also did Miami Blues, which is a similarly good crime comedy.
Miami Blues rocks.
Yeah.
I have not seen any other movie he made, including The Big Bounce, which bounced him right out of Hollywood.
Although that's one where he like contends there was a PG-13ification of a movie. It was getting fucked up during production, and then it was fucked up even worse in edit.
Right. Vinnie Jones is in it. Any movie Vinnie Jones is in, I'm interested.
That's a wild like poster lineup, that film.
Morgan Freeman, Owen Wilson, Gary Sinise, Sarah Foster, who's a weird like failed star heiress. Vinnie Jones, Charlie Sheen, Willie Nelson.
Right. The poster is just all their heads like poking out from palm trees on the beaches, if I remember correctly.
Yep. It's a really terrible poster.
But yes, I just think that I wouldn't say it's like a well-worn trope, but you've seen movies about like the hitman or the criminal starting to have the crisis and being like, what's it all about?
Right.
I can't do it anymore. And this is a movie where the guy just like never accepts that he's struggling in any way.
Not outwardly. No, not in any definitive
we're
way.
living in his head.
Sort of. But are we? I feel like Fincher wants us thinking about that. Right. Or is he talking to us, but what we're hearing isn't really what he's thinking?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, or he's talking to himself in that way of calming himself down. Of like, no, you got this, bro. Like, it's all fine.
There's the I'm good. All these Fincher quotes I'm trying to like slip in before we finish this series. But there's the one, I think you might have invoked it in a previous episode where he said like,
I'm the Finch man.
Yeah, I am the Finch man.
I am the Finch man.
Where he says like, I'm never the guy who's going to say whatever's easiest for you.
Right.
And so much of this, like, don't improvise, stick to the plan.
Yeah.
The bullheadedness that people like ascribe to Fincher. He always talks about like, my budget's like, there's no wasted money. I can like account for every penny. I'm just telling you exactly what I need to get this right.
This is what it will cost. Well, that's
none of this is
much.
Superfluous.
Well, that's what it costs.
And he's like, I need 6 backup guns all in like silicone bags. Like I just need it that way. Right. And I think a lot of it is like, you're going to face so much opposition, not just in like a development process for a movie with money people, but also on set where like you're fighting against the elements and so many people and time where people are going to keep on saying like, can't we just cut this one shot? Or can't we just do it this way? And
because we're up against it, we must cut the corner. And Fincher's like, I don't want that situation to arise.
But not only that, but it's like, you have to imagine as a director, he has developed this kind of internal monologue, which is like, stick to the plan. You do exactly what you came here planning to do. At least get it that way.
I'm sure they improvise a little bit though, right?
Sure, but it's like for him, that's additive. It's not like, I'll accept this replacement plan. It's like, stick to what you came here to do and get it done that way. People are going to try to break you, dissuade you, make you compromise. You can't do that. And the guy keeps on repeating this, even though he's...
This is the thing, though.
Yes, that's what I find funny.
He's a buffoon.
Right. So when you're saying, like, is he talking to us or is he talking to himself? I do think to some degree this is how Fincher talks to himself on set. Right? Of just, like, don't accept okay.
But then he's, like, self-aware enough to be like...
Yes.
I'm such a dumb motherfucker. Like,
yes. He'll make the joke before anyone else does about the notion of how serious and exacting he is.
So good. It's such a funny duo, this and Mank.
Yes.
Like, because Mank as well is like, it's like, directors are these like poncy assholes who like show up and yell at the screenwriter and all that. You know, Mank is like such a celebration of this like cantankerous fuck who the director is like, I gotta deal with you, you know, and like it's Fincher mocking himself a little bit. And then this is Fincher mocking himself again.
Well, here's the other
it's just so funny that when Fincher made a Hollywood movie, he made it about a screenwriter. He's never written a movie.
Well, he constantly is like shooting down, you know, whenever someone brings up the auteur theory. He's like, no.
No.
And then like this,
boost all of his collaborators.
This I was my joke on Letterboxd. It's fucking Sidney Lumet's making movies.
Yes.
It's like always eat a banana. Like all of his advice.
Take a nap.
All of the killer's advice is basically just remember to have an Amazon account so you can clone a fucking fob.
But then this weird sociopathic, like, if you're gonna make great movies, you have to stick to your guns about shit in a way that sometimes makes you look bad.
Right.
The other quote I don't think we've invoked in this series, which I'm gonna paraphrase here, probably butcher to some degree, that it's one of his great lines is like, people say there are like a million places to put the camera and the hard part is choosing where.
Sure.
I think that's wrong. I think there are only 2 places to put the camera and one of them is wrong.
Right place in the wrong place.
Right. And it's like, that's this movie. The inciting incident is the shot's wrong, right? Like he's off and it's nothing interfered, but his judgment was wrong.
Right.
But you have to go into it being like, I think I know when to take the shot and nothing can throw me off that. So you have to keep repeating to yourself, stick to the plan.
Okay, so after Florida,
he goes to Beacon.
Then he goes to Beacon.
Goes to Dia. He goes to the Storm King Sculpture Park.
He has a lovely brunch.
Right.
On Main Street.
He goes to the record store. Yeah. He does all the stuff you can do in Beacon. No, he goes to Beacon and he's like, I don't get it. The last assassin I killed was a gigantic 7-foot tall ant that lived in, God knows where, Florida. I know that.
That's actually
it's just funny. It's just like this, like, like this. Yes. That makes sense. Terrifying, kind of brutal force.
Mountain of a man.
Who's this woman who lives in a bedroom suburb?
Right.
And like her job is basically like, I go to my nice restaurant and they bring me like food. And I'm like the classiest woman alive.
Right. She eats Haagen-Dazs.
She does.
So my
drinks whiskey fight.
She's like the higher class version of Charles Purnell, but also she's a worse manager than Charles Purnell is. That was sort of my read on it, right? Like she's more sophisticated and smarter than he is, but he hires smarter people, and she's just like, hire a big guy and have him like punch through shit. Because she gets herself more directly involved in this shit rather than Charles Purnell is like, distance, stay low key, have a shitty office. I don't need to go do tasting menus and shit.
Well, the orc is the muscle, she's the brains. You kind of need both. But she does, I mean,
she's a parody of a classic super assassin as well, obviously.
There is a point where we see that she had been like holding a knife. She was prepared
we're gonna
to
talk
throw
about it.
down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Swinton could throw down, but when they're together, he's just not talking.
Yeah.
Right.
She's just monologuing. She's so good. She has such poise.
Yeah.
Right?
Whiskey flight.
She orders a flight of whiskeys. She tells this story about the bear, and the hunter tries to kill the bear, and every night, like, he fails. And then at a certain point, the bear.
You're forgetting the part about him getting fucked in the ass.
The deal is you can try to shoot me. And if you miss, I get to sodomize you.
Yes.
And he keeps missing. The bear keeps sodomizing him. He keeps coming back the next day.
And at a certain point, the bear is like, why are you actually coming to the woods? I forget what the actual punchline is.
He says, you're not here for hunting, are you?
Right, yes.
No.
Which is a good joke.
He likes bear sex.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's also just sort of saying, like, why are you still doing this? Like, what is in this for you? It's not money. You have that.
Right. And you also, yes, the weird thing of him not seeming to enjoy it.
Right. Because the end of the movie, he seems to enjoy it, but I feel like he doesn't, right?
No.
He's like, I'm sitting in the chair in the sun.
The last shot of the movie is
I'm still chewing on the ending, but I also,
Well, stop chewing on it. Netflix needs to put it on its streaming service.
I was going to say.
We can't get it out of his mouth.
If it runs streaming now, I would have rewatched the ending immediately.
Sure.
But I like
those final seconds.
Read the two if you have one.
But the Tilda, I mean, hell yeah.
Well, because Tilda is playing, once again, she's playing it incredibly well, and I think with more depth than we've seen. But like this type of scene we've seen in crime movies before where the person's like, I knew this day would come.
All right, so this is it, huh? Okay, one last drink for me, right?
Right. But then you feel her testing like,
she's like, maybe I can get away with this.
Is there any way for me to win this? And at other times, she's showing more vulnerability than you're used to in this type of scene where it's like,
maybe this is it.
She's really getting sloppy. Like you really see the panic in her.
But, which is great. She plays those little moments of panic really well. But yeah, you do, like, the longer it goes, the more she's probably thinking like, well, he's not done it yet.
Right.
So maybe I can kind of trick him.
Like, why would you come to the restaurant? Like you're
right. You could just fucking push me or exactly. Right. Like poison me.
Get what the fuck you're doing.
Right. What
You're
is,
not making
what is he
sense
doing?
anymore.
What is he doing?
He's lost his compass.
He's kind of lost his whatever.
I think he's lonely.
His rule book. He's lonely. He's never actually gotten to talk to anyone who does this job before.
Yeah.
So there's something in that.
That's the gig economy, man.
Yes.
You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it is like, in certain ways, this is also Fincher doing a Michael Mann type riff of like, you know, your great line about Michael Mann movies of like, every Michael Mann movie is about a guy who has one feeling, right? In Thief, that one feeling is kept in your wallet tight.
Right.
But it's like, this guy has one feeling that he won't admit, which is, I like this woman. And then when that feeling is threatened, the guys are like completely miscalibrated.
I don't think he wants to kill her, but he knows he has to.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of a game recognized game thing of like, if he doesn't kill her, she's going to kill him. And she probably wouldn't even respect him for not killing her.
Right.
Right?
Right.
She's got the little knife. It's a great little reveal.
Yes.
She would have done something with it if she could.
Of course.
But he has enough wherewithal.
And he was trying to prey on her sympathy to help her up.
Yeah.
How embarrassing I slipped.
Right. I think he does know, like, no, she's going to try something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he shoots her with gun.
Yeah. He shoots her with gun.
Killing her, and she'll never be seen again until the Blankies episode, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like a real Blankies bait performance.
For me, certainly, yes.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just a simp for Tilda.
Yeah. Hard not to be.
Simpton?
Tilda Simpton, that's me.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Chicago, the Windy City.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about Blanky's bait performance?
Arliss?
Yeah.
In his little beret?
And just a fucking
slouchy beanie.
Yeah.
A Sub Pop t-shirt.
Just a one scene heater performance.
Yeah. I mean, I already told the story on Mank about how his Fincher's casting agent is like, he is my favorite actor alive.
Yeah.
Arliss Howard rules. He can play this version of a guy in any country.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like bored asshole businessman, but he can give you every flavor of that from the 50s, from Britain. You know, like, where do you want it? Arliss will give it to you. Now it's this like, this kind of like tech guy. He's kind of like the killer.
Yeah.
He feels like he's like, I live in this, weird apartment palace.
Totally.
I don't even know what to do with myself.
Well, and this is so much of like Fassbender, the first 15 minutes, him saying like, in the grand moral calculus of the world, what I'm doing doesn't matter. He recounts those numbers of like how many people live and how many people die.
Right. Like,
and
if
he's
I kill one person, that's nothing.
It's a rounding error.
Yeah.
Right. And if I don't do it, someone else does. And what, like, there's no great like harm to this. This is a guy who, like, as much as he likes to think of himself of like, no, I'm like a cool billionaire. I wear the Sub Pop t-shirt. I'm not like an elitist, right? He's like absolutely doing things in the financial market that fuck more people over than the individual people that the killer is killing.
What are you talking about? The innovation drives the economy, and that saves lives.
Benevolent,
right? You agree, Marie?
Maverick.
You want to sign on to my thought?
No, thank you.
Job creation. But yeah, no,
we don't even know what he is, right? I mean, he's just sort of like some kind of.
But he's complaining.
Like a property.
He's complaining about some deal, and he's got fucking Jim Cramer running on the TV in the background. Like, you're like, this guy just sucks, but he's like, no, I'm not like one of them.
Right. I kept thinking about him as some guy who's like, if he's eating like takeout Chinese food in his incredible apartment, he's like, am I wasting this evening? Should I have gotten something more expensive? Like, he doesn't know he has too much money to know what to do with all his money all the time. He tried to kill someone because he was like, well, I have enough money to kill someone. Should I do that?
Yeah.
And then he ordered it. And then when he went wrong, he was like, okay, well, no big deal.
Yeah,
I don't really care
he paid
anymore.
extra for the insurance plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Which didn't seem, it was only an additional 15 grand or whatever. Like,
you know, that's
like,
I don't care. Right. And then, I was just hoping no one would bring it up.
This is what people told me you're supposed to do when you're in a position where like the entire stock market can swing on your actions.
Right. You have to kill people.
I mean, the thing that I really like about this movie is that it's so stripped down. You can kind of like map your own experiences onto it.
Right.
So like,
I'm a lot like all the characters in this movie, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Griffin, I know you're like your take about it being about filmmaking is, spot on. But also like, I just felt reminded of my experience working in advertising. Specifically the term the client.
Normal industry.
That fucking dude is like every guy who's like the client who thinks that he's like hip and with it.
Yes.
He's not, but he's not. He's not an artist. And at the end of the day, he's the one who's calling the shots, and you're still in service of him. Like I've done shoots where like, you have a special bathroom for the client.
Yeah.
And everyone else has to like, the people that are like working 12 hours, more than 12 hours have to use like the shitty bathroom, like far away from set. It sucks. But the many versus the many versus the few that he talks about in that movie. But
I also think like this guy, this like meeting with God, right? Basically, like here's the guy at the top of the mountain
into the penthouse
of my pain, right?
Right.
He gets in and it's like Fincher is getting a face-to-face meeting with like the creative exec who fucked Alien 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's just like, why did you do this to me?
I don't know. I do a lot of stuff. I'm sorry.
Which movie? That was like one of 7 things I gave notes on that day.
I mean, I'm sure I remember doing that, but I don't really care. So can we forget about it?
Budget? Right. Okay, whatever. Like, what are you fucking talking about? And the guy's like, he's like not apologetic.
Yes.
But he's also like, much like Tilda, there's a certain energy where he's like, I guess if you're going to fucking kill me, I don't know. What can I say here? But you snuck into my home. You're going to shoot me. This is like, I genuinely don't know what you're doing here. He thinks he's a robber, right?
Right.
And he's like, I paid for all this security and still people can like come in and mug me.
Right.
And then like Fassbender starts saying like the Bally, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, oh, the fucking people I hired. And then they told me it went wrong. And they said, we can do this. And I said, sure, why not?
Right. Which was him being, erased.
Yeah.
Right. And Fassbender has that line where he says something like, I walk in here with a gun and like nothing came to mind of what I would be here. And he's like, no. And Fassbender at that moment looks at him. He's like, fuck, we're exactly the same on different scales.
Yes.
Yeah.
My approach to how I look at the targets is no different than the way you think of me as the person you hired and the person you then paid someone else to clean up.
The grand irony of like, this guy is actually unkillable because killing him would be a huge thing. It would attract attention. It would be hard to do it clean.
Yeah.
Even though he is the most killable character in this movie.
Yeah.
The one who probably deserves to die the most.
Correct.
Like the one who the killing of him might actually improve the world in some way.
So Andrew Kevin Walker.
And he's like, I can't shoot you because it's a big fucking deal, but I will shoot you if you fuck with me again. See you later.
AKW had a really fucking good line.
Which is?
He said they went back and forth so much on, do you end that scene with him shooting Arliss Howard or not? Will it feel frustrating? Are we depriving
if he doesn't get the final revenge?
Right.
Yeah.
And it is that moment of recognizing like, oh, his relationship to his business is exactly the same to mine. I'm hypocritical if I like hold that against him when I've been saying this mantra the whole time of like, this doesn't mean anything to me. Right. But he was like, ultimately the thing that finally cracked it for me of like, that has to be the answer is I asked, from this character's perspective, in this moment, does killing him help anything?
Right.
He's like, it does not improve his situation at all.
It makes it worse.
No difference by leaving this guy alive. And it's for the first time where he makes the decision rather than like, I have to kill everyone as a default to leave no trace. He's just like, it probably makes it worse. It definitely doesn't make anything better. There's no catharsis. Meeting with this guy helped me 0%. Coming face to face with him, I got no confession. I got no atonement. I barely got recognition.
Basically didn't.
Yeah. But the whole lead up to Arliss Howard is my favorite of the process chunk of the movie.
The Equinox gym
but
and
it's
the
not
Equinox.
I know,
which is funny because he goes through pains to have everything else be a legitimate brand.
Equinox did not want to be associated with this movie.
It's so much funnier to also have it be like weird spiritual Equinox.
Zen bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Equinox with a slightly more obnoxious twist. That's true.
Yeah.
It's not just rich. It's like, Buddhist or something.
We didn't even mention the fucking sitcom names thing.
Oh, yeah.
Someone on Reddit, I think, said, like, do they get more obnoxious as the movie's going on? Like, do they, by the time it's George Jefferson, it's like, is he pushing it at this point? Like,
bit.
Or is it just a joke? Yeah, I don't know.
My favorite is when he uses like the full proper name of a sitcom character. I'm forgetting the examples here, but when it would be like Samuel Malone.
Right.
It also, like, for me in that
Archibald Bunker.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In that Fincherian way, it makes perfect sense where it's like, if you're making up fake names all the time and trying to keep track of like different identities, best to like pick iconic characters where you'll be able to remember it. Right? You're like, if it's like, you know, Sam Smith or whatever, bad example.
Yeah, that's a person.
If it's Jim Thompson, right? You're like, that fucking generic name I made up. Which one was it again?
What's the Basketball Diaries guy?
Fuck!
You are correct.
If it's Tim Thomerson, fuck!
He's a Killer Inside Me.
Okay. Who was I thinking of?
I know who you were thinking.
You know what I'm saying, though? If it's
Jim
like,
Carroll.
If that card is under Stefan Urkel, he's going to have a visceral memory of like, that's the card I associate with hot Urkel.
Right.
Yeah, Stefan Urkel would be good.
That's a good one.
Let me look up Stefan Urkel, actually.
He was hot.
Yeah, he was hot. Right?
He was.
Like, my problem is I don't remember the names of sitcom characters, like the full names.
Well, look, Marie, it sounds like some of us had a more productive pandemic than others, and that I watched sitcoms in bed and did nothing else.
Like, I'm trying to remember, like, I'm trying to think if I can name all the last names on Friends.
I think I recognize truly every
right, name the last names on Friends.
Yeah, do it.
Rachel.
So, Rachel Green.
Monica.
Geller.
Phoebe.
Buffet.
Joey.
Tribbiani.
Chandler.
Bing.
I mean, Ross he's right there for you.
Geller. Yeah. Okay, so Friends is a bad one. Right. But like, I don't know.
Cheers.
Sam Malone, Fraser Crane, Cliff Clavin.
Yep.
All right.
Woody Boyd.
Yep.
All right.
But then like
Norm.
Don't know Norm's last name.
Peterson.
And then like Diane
Chambers.
Oh, I
Coach
think I knew
Ernie
Pantuso. Yeah, he's coach though.
Rebecca.
Rebecca
is how apparently did not know that.
Yeah, HOWE.
Yeah.
Lillian's last name is Lilith. I'm sorry.
On Frasier,
isn't it?
Yeah, that's when she takes his man name. She's introduced.
Sternin.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. Okay. Let's not do this all day. Griffin.
David.
As we get older, I don't want to
wiser.
alarm you here, but our responsibilities and challenges increase, which causes stress levels to rise.
I disagree, but go on.
Well, you might disagree with this one too. Prioritizing quality sleep is one of the best ways to take care of yourself.
Yeah, you can't back this up.
Looking through your history, I don't know if you agree with that. No, come on, Griff. Instead of lingering on your phone before bed.
Oh, boy, do I ever.
This ad copy is reading you for filth.
Yes, it's unbelievable.
Make sleep your simplest self-care routine with the Hatch Restore 2, okay?
Maybe it says here, maybe if you spent less money on action figures and more money buying a Hatch, you'd feel better overall, Griffin? That's in the ad copy?
This is supposed to be universal. So, I mean, I guess.
This is wild.
Look, just think about the Hatch Restore 2 as your bedside sleep guide, your ally in rest. It's an innovative all-in-one dream machine, a sophisticated sound machine.
Innovative.
Light and alarm clock, to be clear. It's two separate things.
Oh, wow.
And it's beautifully designed for your bedside table. I have one by my bed.
Yeah.
The Hatch Restore 2. You know, the light comes on every morning to wake us up slowly. My daughter has a Hatch, the Hatch Sleep, which is a white noise machine in her room. Okay.
She likes it?
I mean, she's been sleeping with it since the day she was born. So I think so. You can have all kinds of noises. White, pink, brown.
Ooh.
Other sleep sounds inspired by nature. If you have a kid, you can also change the colors with your phone while they call out colors.
Okay.
Which is a fun game you can play. Yes. Our producer knows what I'm talking about.
What's your favorite?
Well, pink, I guess, but I mean, it's more. I think the power of changing it is what she really. Blue, green, purple. You know, like that she can.
Gotcha.
So Hatches are great. I really do actually recommend them. This is one of those products that is integral to my life. And it's really good for your sleep routine if you're trying to, get on a schedule. Griffin.
I think I'd rather be miserable.
Right now, Hatch is offering our listeners $20 off your purchase of a Hatch Restore 2 and free shipping at hatch.co/check. But right now, they are matching their Black Friday, Cyber Monday on-site sale. So you can get $40 off and free shipping using our link, hatch.co/check. Okay? Okay. Sleep deeply and wake gently with the Restore 2. Go to hatch.co/check for $40 off and free shipping. That's hatch.co/check. The killer is good. Okay, yeah, so he flees.
The killer is good. Is morally good and right.
He's good in what he does. He goes back to the DR. His Magdala, played by Sophie Charlotte, his partner is there. They're sitting on deck chairs, and he's like, I guess I'm retired.
And then
I'm not special. And then what happens, Marie?
His face twitches a little bit.
There's a little twitch. What's your take, Marie?
That he's just itching to get back to doing his job.
That's how I took it. Yeah.
That he's giving us like a false happy ending to the audience, being like, see, I did it. I got away. I'm good.
It's like, no. He's like, what do you mean? He doesn't know what to do with
I found the ending a little pat, but I perhaps was not.
What did you want the ending to be, I guess?
I don't know. I thought the Arliss Howard scene was so fucking good.
Right.
And then I was just like, I'm all in. How does he wrap it up? And the ending, it's also very quick, this little kind of code.
It is kind of like, all right, get out of here.
Right.
And I guess if he shot Arliss Howard, that would be more of a like ending.
I prefer that he doesn't. I prefer that he walks away. I think it strengthens the movie. But then I was like, what is the final scene?
That downbeat thing there. And then just like him being like, well, okay, I guess I'll sit in my chair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're going to go insane, bro. In like 2 minutes. I've been in your brain.
Yeah, it sucks in there.
Yes. It's really bad in there.
Good for a movie.
Like, you don't seem like someone who can hang out.
No.
Like, imagine going to the bar with him and I'm like, so what's up with you? You reading books or something? Like, what's going on, bro? What do you talk? Got any goss?
Yeah.
Got any goss?
You'd go crazy trying to milk goss out of this guy.
It's a fucking brick wall, that guy. I don't think I'd have anything. I think it's a great film. I can't wait to watch it again.
A real corker.
And I just would love Fincher to continue making films.
Immensely watchable. It's one of those movies where you're just like, man, just fucking top shelf craft.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Right.
All that stuff
just
is obviously
interesting to watch everything this guy does.
As usual, the reaction to it has not been negative, but has been a little tepid. The Venice reaction was somewhat negative, but that's, I don't know.
Hitman totally hurt this movie, right? I mean, I'd say the two-pronged thing is like this movie is caught in this like exact midpoint between it being like really pulpy where people are like, this is just fucking lurid fun. It's Fincher like getting his rocks off, or it being quote unquote elevated serious Fincher. And it's like, this is in this midpoint between like Zodiac and Panic Room, let's say, right? Which I think makes people, especially in a film festival context, not totally know what to make of it. Especially when there was a little bit of a kind of mystery box on this movie until it was seen. The information was very vague.
My thing is, I think that's what hurt it. It's like it got a Venice launch to tepid reviews because that's not really a place to launch this movie.
Yeah.
Because this is a very American movie.
Yes.
Like as much as it has a lot of European stuff in it or whatever. It's about an American sensibility, aka buffoonish and self-inflated. And then it's at Venice. And then they kind of like half-heartedly added it to New York and it did a couple screenings there, but it didn't build up any festival buzz. And then it's the classic, like, it's out on Netflix in November. Okay. And it's in theaters in the end of October, I guess.
Yeah.
Where? Some
places.
And it's like, okay, well then how am I supposed to even like get people excited for this movie? And now I feel like I'm like nudging people to like the art house to see the fucking David Fincher assassin movie with Michael Fassbender.
It's kind of bleak.
It's like not a hard sell.
But I do think, as you guys said, like the premise of the Linklater movie is deflating the entire notion of a hitman. Yeah. And that plays festivals and is such a fucking down the line crowd pleaser.
It's a fun movie with a crowd.
Where people are like, this movie is raising the roof. I do think it hurts this film a little that these are like playing at the same festivals next to each other. Both like kind of totemic 90s auteurs of the last generation will get to like build their career really their way.
Yeah, but is the average moviegoer aware of the festival buzz of Hitman?
I'm only saying it dinged the launch of this movie in the festival circuit. Where I think the reviews were like a little like, yeah, it's good. And people were like, but fucking Hitman, you're gonna come.
What was that?
Gene Shalit's pull quote for Hitman was, you'll jizz out of your seat.
Leonard Maltin, 3.5 stars. Come worthy.
Yeah.
The box office.
You're right. In the wash, it will not be anything. But I think in terms of
Netflix. It's Netflix. It's Netflix. It's Netflix.
I agree. Well, I'm glad Netflix has both of the Hitman movies that can live next to each other.
I'm sorry. And I like they make good movies sometimes. But sometimes Allison wrote this piece for Vulture that's like just said what we were all thinking, which is when Netflix bought Hitman, everyone was like, oh boy.
Oh, great. Here we go.
All right. Now no one sees it.
Yeah, like, it doesn't matter.
The Killer came out on October 27th, 2023. in some theaters.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not on the box office chart because it's four-walled.
November 10th?
I don't know.
It will have been streaming when this episode comes out. That's the other thing.
November 10, you're correct.
Yeah, it's just annoying in us scheduling these episodes.
Yeah,
of like, there's like this 3-week gap between it getting like a fart of a theatrical release and being on streaming, and you're like, which date do we time it to more? Oh, the woes of being a podcaster.
Yeah, we're doing fine. October 27th, 2023, Griffin, what's number one at the box office?
Five Nights at Freddy's.
$80 million!
Yeah, David sent a series of absolutely flummoxed texts to the Doughboys and I, where you seemingly were just not engaged with Freddy at all as a thing.
And you were like,
where the fuck
I
did
had
this come
no idea
from?
what this was until I saw a trailer for it.
This has been so big for 10 years.
I was aware that this film, which I was aware existed.
This is like if first wave of Sonic or Mario ended with the most faithful movie possible, when it was like the generation that first grew up with it was still the right age to enjoy the movie.
Truly, no idea.
I'm the right age to enjoy Sonic. How dare you? But no, I was aware that this movie was tracking big.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, it must be, I don't know, some horror movie.
Yeah.
And then like it opens huge and everyone's like, yeah, Gen Z video game movie. And I'm like, ooh, it's a video game?
Peacock,
what's the game?
Day and date. And people were like, well, opening day is huge, but it's front loaded.
Right.
And then it just like kind of kept exceeding the projections.
It's huge. I'm pro anything doing well.
I heard it stinks,
and
but I like the idea that it exists.
Yeah.
I've tried playing the games. I mean, they in theory should be some real Griff shit.
You're trapped in a Chuck E. Cheese, like a haunted Chuck E. Cheese.
And I like the concept of it.
They are like pretty experimental in gameplay, and they're also a really fascinating, like, they're kind of like the Blair Witch of video games, where there's this like feeling of like, oh, he's like redefining gameplay around budget limitations.
Because they were these like indie games.
Yeah, which it's interesting. I've never gotten into it, and a lot of it is the weird like deep lore shit that's like subtextual, hidden in games, and people do 3-hour videos. But all of this has made kids very involved in this shit for 10 years.
Hutcherson employed.
We
love to see that.
Yeah, we do.
The other thing I was saying to David Marie is like, there is this other weird angle to the Freddy's thing, which is like, you have kids who are all in on the games, watching these fucking explainer videos, digging into the lore, reading the novels that exist in the universe. All this guy who has like maintained total creative control.
Scott Cawthorne.
Sort of Twilight style, and kept on killing versions of the movie, where it was like a Gil Kenan version and a Chris Columbus version. And he was like, I get full kill rights. You're not making it until it's exactly what I want it to be.
Right.
But simultaneous to all of this, the characters kind of just established this almost like Hello Kitty value as just iconography, where like they're so big on like t-shirts and backpacks and shit. I think with a contingency of kids who don't even know what the fuck it is, where they're just like, oh, like the bunny and the bear. Anyway, huge fucking...
I'm glad that
I gotta say it.
Things are selling.
I gotta say it, David.
I mean, it's a very impressive box office for a day and date streaming release. But I mean, and Halloween weekend, well timed.
Oh, good.
Bookmarks around the month of October. Jason Blum has like the biggest fucking whiff of his career.
Yeah.
The one time he basically, a la The Killer, strayed from the plan, improvised, did things wrong. And then on the other side, Five Nights from Freddy, by making the Peacock deal, the film was already net even. $20 million from Peacock covered the budget. And they were just sort of like, no one's going to watch it on Peacock. It'll do well in theaters. And then it did like 3 times better than they thought in theaters.
What's coming out next week?
Next week is like nothing.
Yeah.
I know I'm waiting to take my cousins to see Wish and Trolls, which are back-to-back weekends.
Thanksgiving and then, right. Yeah.
Does Marvel's come out this weekend?
No, Priscilla is going wide. I'm sure that's going to make, and then 80 to 100
Marvel's is the following weekend, and then Hunger Games?
Correct.
So you have like...
And I could see Hunger Games kind of like surprisingly eating second weekend of Marvel's as lunch.
I think that kind of has to be the one that pops.
I think it might be, yeah.
There's
Wish is tracking really well.
Else.
Wish is tracking well?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it looks like a pile of dog shit, and I would be very happy to be surprised.
Well, I'm not saying it's tracking well quality-wise.
No.
It's just like tracking to like a 50
Wish is the origin story of the star that is wished upon.
I bet you wondered where
I didn't wonder that
Stars
one
come from
fucking bit. You're
Disney
kidding me.
characters
That's what it's about?
Yeah, David, you didn't know this?
No, I don't watch these trailers. I don't want to do that.
100th celebration, they're finally answering the question, how do those stars get the power to grant wishes? And this movie has a little anthropomorphic star who falls out of the sky. Ariana DeBose and the talking goat have to shepherd him back to some fucking place.
Fine, great. I mean, Napoleon's coming out. That looks like fun sort of dad content. I mean, obviously, I'm
Dad
super
and
excited.
Marie Bardi content.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go together. Dad and Marie Bardi.
Yeah. Do you know the part where oh my God, Vanessa Kirby, she like lifts up her little dress and it's like sitting in a chair. I'm like,
I'll go see that in theaters if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying I will buy a ticket and sit there respectfully.
And then we got
watch it.
It's like Renaissance.
What's the Beyonce,
the Beyonce movie,
yeah.
obviously. Boy and the Heron, Wonka. And then just like a crush of stuff at Christmas of like
overloaded.
I'm sorry, you can't just gloss over Wonka like it's not the biggest movie of the Christmas season.
Maria was pushing us to do a Wonka episode or to combine Wonka and Aquaman and call the episode Wonkaman.
That was kind of funny.
That was very funny.
That was funny.
Give full credit to that. That was very funny.
I really think that people are going to want to hear our takes on Wonka.
Wonkaman.
I don't care.
Timmy is wearing a hat.
Yeah, well, he should be. It's Wonka. If he wasn't wearing a hat, that would be a serious oversight.
He's making chocolate.
He's making chocolate. Hugh Grant?
I just feel like I know what that movie is, and the ceiling is 3 stars, and the ceiling is because Paul King can give it like would
you have said the ceiling for a Paddington movie is 3 stars?
No, because I know what a Paddington
aspect
movie
is that he fucking isn't doing Paddington 3 to do Wonka, and you're just like, what awful fucking sliding doors timeline are we in where he jumped ship for this?
Yeah, I mean, like a Paddington movie, I'm like, yeah, Paddington has a built-in story that's very involving. A Wonka prequel, I'm like, never have I asked why he
You ever
became
wonder
Wonka.
how Willy Wonka started making chocolate?
No, he talks about it in the movie anyway, and also I don't care.
I think the movie feels very politically charged from the trailer. It seems like it's the movie for the moment.
That's the kind of shit I don't care about.
I feel like Wonka is the proletariat icon we need right now.
Marie.
David is looking at me with a Kubrick stare. Like he wants to rip my throat
This
out.
is my whole thing where they're like, do you want to know what Wonka did before he became Willy Wonka? I'm like, no.
They're like,
well, too bad. That's
chocolate,
the whole movie.
then said I should make this shit.
Wanted to make Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
But it's not just chocolate, it's magic in the chocolate.
Disgusting. And but then
illegal.
They're like, also it'll be an allegory for whatever we need there to be an allegory right now about. Number 2 at the box office is Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour. Did any of you see it?
No. Have you seen Marie?
No. I couldn't get tickets.
Yeah.
The whole Thursday to Sunday thing kind of fucked me. Like because the weekends are tough for me. I was I'll sneak in on it. Oh no, it's just kind of like
I don't go out in public on the weekends because I have a flexible schedule. I do all of my movie going during the work
you're wise. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to see. It's also like 3 hours long.
I was talking about my lack of interest
Taylor,
to you,
but
and you said, well, you never really liked Taylor Swift. And then it was like a repressed memory came back, and I was like,
you don't like Taylor Swift, Griffin?
I don't really like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you've never been.
Well, that's what you said. And then the memory flooded back, and I was like, wait, I was like really into her for 2 years. I liked Red in 1989. I think I talked about it on Mike in several episodes. And then I remembered I got in a big fight with a girlfriend over her. And I think I not only stopped engaging with her, but like blocked out of my memory that I ever gave her headspace.
You like painted over your Taylor Swift wallpaper.
Yes.
Wow. I like Taylor Swift just fine.
I got in a fight with an ex-girlfriend where she was upset that I was getting too invested in Taylor Swift narratives online and not listening to what she was saying.
Wow.
And it like clearly...
It sounds like you were in the wrong on that one.
I concede. She was right, but clearly there is some wound there where I was like, I never want to think about Taylor Swift ever again.
Jesus.
I was caught thinking about her too much. And not in a sexual way, in a like, oh my God, people are looking at the lyrics of the new song and they think...
Yeah,
it's a sick world.
Do you know about Gaylor's?
No, we're not doing this. Okay, number 3 at the box office. Number
was
3 at
the
the box
thing I
office.
was looking into.
Number 3 at the box
I think
office.
is the narrative that I was thinking
Number
into.
3, and we have to do
Of course
Fincher
it was
rankings,
that.
and then have to go pick up a
That's
pack
exactly
and play.
what
I'm
it
going
was.
upstate with this girl tomorrow.
Ended
Oh,
my
yeah.
4 other people.
So David Sims,
Yeah.
David Ehrlich,
Yeah.
and my husband David Salinas.
Yeah, 3 Davids.
3 Davids
True.
and their families are going upstate.
I went to
The
City
3
Hall.
Davids and their women. It's a new,
I filed a
Mazursky
name
film.
change position, and it didn't
David.
fucking.
David Newman.
It didn't settle in time for me to get a fucking invite.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, look. Number 3 is it's a new film from one of the great American filmmakers.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, a masterpiece in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
A great film,
Yeah.
I think.
Right, we're recording this episode a little far in advance. We're talking about the box office from 4 days ago, and I'm
Correct.
struggling to pull it.
But you like to, I believe.
Yeah, rules.
Are you going to see it again?
Yes.
I've been pondering seeing it again, but it's like,
You need to
again.
prepare yourself, and I'm
Yeah.
backed up. I have a lot of catching up to do on other movies.
Right. You got to get
it'll
held
be
over.
It'll be on Apple Plus during
no,
Thanksgiving.
Marie, I want it up
Maybe.
there in that
There's a
big
45
screen.
window.
Well, no, I saw it on the big screen, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, it might be really,
It'll be interesting
really
to like
educational Thanksgiving viewing for the whole family.
Mm.
I've been watching a Rick Burns docuseries on the plight of the Native American called "We Shall Remain" with PBS Passport.
Cool.
I'm ready
Genuinely
to.
cool.
I've been
ready
watching
to,
a Rick Sanchez documentary called "I'm Pickle Rick."
You have to say the joke. Say the joke. You can't start laughing in the middle of
The
it.
documentary is called "I'm Pickle Rick."
We can't talk about that anymore, right?
Sure we can.
Yeah.
Well, you guys already fucking brought up Gaylors and Hunter
Yeah.
Biden. Now you draw the line at Rick and Morty?
He's played by some other guys now, and no one notices the difference. The show's exactly the same.
Number.
It definitely
You're
doesn't
starting
have-
to sound like Trump.
Weird vibes.
No
now.
one notices the difference.
Rick and Morty. They got new
They
voices.
changed the voices.
Terrible what they did to Royland.
Number 4. It's not terrible to me.
No, it makes sense. It was the right decision,
Yes.
unequivocally.
Number 4, a new film this week, a Christian film, I believe.
It's not. It's not called The Chosen, right? It's called The Blind.
No,
Fuck.
It's about what
it's called
happens.
The something.
No,
Fuck.
it's about what happens. I guess it's not explicitly Christian.
Uh-huh.
Although it's by like Angel Studios.
It's about what
by
happens
the
in
guys who
Vegas?
did The Chosen. It's about what happens in Vegas, which
Yeah.
stays there,
Yes.
according to scientists.
Well, unless you accidentally marry Cameron Diaz.
But no, it's like talking to people who've like witnessed the afterlife or whatever, because they
Oh, yes,
near-death
this,
experiences and scanning the brain when you die.
What's this movie called?
After Death,
Sure.
opening to $5 million.
Great.
Yeah,
Never
it is
heard of
great.
it.
Okay, well, maybe you're not in touch. I mean, it's from a little studio that brought us a hit called Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
So
Never
maybe
heard of it.
number 5 at the box office. It is a sequel, a Lega sequel in a horror franchise.
The Exorcist part. No,
Belieber.
just The Exorcist.
The Exorcist
Part
Belieber, yes.
6.
Justin Bieber.
Belieber.
Justin Bieber has haunted these 2 girls.
Yeah.
Has either
I
of you
like to
seen it?
think that
No.
Reagan would have been a believer.
No.
No.
No,
It
I've
felt
seen it.
disrespectful to
Billy.
the late William Friedkin.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea that he like actively cursed this movie on his deathbed somehow.
Yeah.
But it's not a successful
I had
film.
plans. I was going to go see it with a past and future guest friend of the show, Whitney McIntosh.
Sure.
And then I went, I think I'd rather have diarrhea tonight. And I bailed on the movie and I stayed home, sat in the toilet. And I think I had a better time, arguably,
Yeah.
based on some
I
responses
think
I've seen.
you would enjoy things about the failures in the
I
movie.
will find it interesting when I watch it on a
Right,
plane
like,
4 months from
exactly.
now.
You, like things that don't work where you're like, what?
This thing
was the
sometimes
choice
happens
here.
where David's
Yes.
like, you don't need to see it. And then 6 months later, I watch it on a plane. I'm like, David, I need to talk about this right now.
Right. And I'm like, oh, God, we all wanted to forget that one.
I think he wants you to make the decision on your own. Like he doesn't want to feel like he's forcing you to endure it. Like you have
David
to arrive at that.
feel that way, or
conclusion.
David Gordon Green feels that way.
Sims.
Number 6, Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie, just making money. Number
so-
7, Nightmare Before Christmas. Do you have a Paw Patrol thought?
Yeah, I was at Walmart in Texas with my husband, and he was like, "What is this thing?"
Didn't know.
And
What,
I'm
Paw
like,
Patrol
I'm
was?
like, "It's Paw Patrol."
That was his Five
And
Nights at Freddy's.
yeah. He was like, 'cause he knew all about Five Nights at
Of
Freddy's. Like,
course.
Paw Patrol, no idea. He was like, "Wait, are they cops?"
One
And
of
I
them
was-
is a cop.
I was like,
Just
"Yes,
one.
they are."
No, just one. One of them is.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
there's
like
like
one
a-
cop, one fireman, one
Right.
construction worker,
Right.
one paramedic
Guard,
or some
one-
shit.
yeah,
Right?
you
They're
know,
all
Yeah.
they're one of each.
They're all first responders.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I'm holding the line. I'm really waiting until I just do not want it in my house.
I forget why it came up in conversation with my mom, but Jamesy, my little brother, was like a kid who loved like Postman Pat and Fireman Sam and all the British shows. Bob the Builder, I guess, was a little after his time.
Bob the Builder.
But all the like
Can we fix it?
vehicles and like person with a job that helps the community kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
And she was like, "What's Paw Patrol?" And I was like, "They made a show where it's all of them, but each of them is represented by a dog." And my mom's eyes went wide and she's like, "That is
so smart.
yeah." But it was like that is so smart and
Okay,
so
but-
evil. She was like, "I'm so grateful that didn't exist 20 years ago, 30 years ago when James was little. That would have like ruined our household."
I haven't seen any Paw Patrol, but like, are there criminals? Like, is
I don't
the
know. Let's
cop
move on.
arresting
No.
bad dogs?
I don't I mean, there's maybe like robbers in like black and white, like Hamburglar
Like I
outfits
told
with, like,
you in the
raccoon
Spider-Man
masks.
show. Did I tell you what Dr. Octopus wanted to do?
Right. This is David's daughter started watching a Spider-Man cartoon where the bad guys are bullies.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's still Rhino or Green Goblin or whatever, but they're not
Playground
committing
Oh,
murders.
that's fun.
Yeah.
But do you know what
It's called
Dr.
Spidey and Friends. What's it called?
Spidey and his amazing friends?
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're always
yeah.
called that. But do you know what Dr. Octopus tried to do?
What?
Ruin Mother's Day. It's fucking dark.
This is how Feige
Literally,
saves the
someone
MCU.
was like, Dr. Octopus is going to ruin Mother's
This
Day.
is how
like,
Feige-
that was the stake.
Saves the MCU. You were saying the problem is nothing means anything in the MCU anymore. Here are stakes. Fucking Mother's Day ruined?
Mother's Day is in my grasp. Number 8 at the box office.
Is it Doc Ock a woke queen on this show?
Yeah,
too?
she's a lady woke my virus. Number 8, new film starring John Cena, got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's-
Freelance is the name
I
of
was
the
gonna
film.
say it's called The Contractor. Yeah.
Right.
A
Have you seen
true-
it?
No. Like
No, you didn't rush to that one?
A real, this wasn't released, it escaped movie. Alison Brie?
Is she in it?
Yeah. She's the
Jesus.
female lead. I feel like it has
Yeah.
some...
Alice Eve is in it?
It looks
I
like
mean,
they were trying to
it's a-
pull a Sound of Freedom with it, where like my friend sent me a screenshot of like the Century City screenings, and every screening had sold out. And it's like, that didn't
Wow.
happen
Right, that's, like,
organically.
fake,
That was
right.
fake.
Director of Taken, Pierre Morel.
Yeah, Pierre Morel, who made the first Taken, and then like From Paris with Love and
Yeah.
Peppermint. He's kind of a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes king.
Yeah.
He really likes that zone there.
He's a zero
It's just
star
crazy to me
general.
that there's a Cena movie and that everyone was like, no, because like
Yeah.
Cena, I'm not saying he makes good movies, but he's usually kind of like charming enough that you're like, yeah, it's, you know, sure.
This is a movie where it's genuinely astonishing that it got a theatrical release, and it must be because of some contractual deal where you're like,
It's a Lions
this
game.
is the thing that gets like sold off to
No, it's Relativity. I'm sorry.
Paramount
Jesus.
Plus,
Yeah, you would think
quietly.
so, but whatever.
Yeah.
Number 9 at the box office. He's made $50 million. We love him. We respect him. He's right
Jigsaw.
and good.
Saw X.
Jigsaw himself. Saw
X.
X. Saw X has done so well that I'm assuming they're now trying to be like, okay, so what do we do
What do we
now? Like, you know, like, I don't know.
It was like, you know, kind of a failed meme, but like Saw Patrol has been quietly like
Chugging.
helping the theaters.
Look, anything
those two
selling
movies
tickets.
are chugging. Yeah.
Number 10, The Creator,
The creator.
which has probably going to sneak to 40.
Yeah.
Domestic, a little over maybe. Did you
Not-
see it?
A good movie. But
It's just not that successful.
yes, a movie that is deeply frustrating
Looks cool.
in the exact level of quality it is at, where you're like, this needs to be better or worse. And it's close to both.
We have a lot of series wrap up business.
I know,
to take
that's why
care
we
of.
got to be done. Okay, but
Yeah.
we don't.
Fuck. Okay.
I just want to say I've really enjoyed my David Fincher journey. What?
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
disagreeing with you.
Highlights for me were I actually really liked Alien 3.
Yeah.
Rules.
I thought it was very transgressive and fun.
Agreed.
I love how bleak it is.
Thank you for saying this before people get mad at my rankings.
It's going to be up there for me. I loved rewatching Panic Room.
Hell yeah. Me
which
too.
I totally shot up in my rankings. That's also kind of why I like The Killer. I like when he just does the stripped down genre exercise and really like gets stylish with things.
Right.
And
Animal
I
wasted.
sobbed uncontrollably at Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Me too, bro. Me too. Right there with you.
Yeah, but it was fun to revisit Fight Club for the first time in like 15 years. And, it's always a pleasure to revisit Zodiac. And I think as a fan of the podcast, you guys have had some of your best episodes in the series.
Wow.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say. Here's the check you asked for. Now,
Thank you.
Mary's on payroll.
Actually, you have to pay everybody. Do you want to go first, Griffin?
No.
Okay, fine. I'll go first.
Thank
And your favorite movie of David Fincher's is The Social Network, correct, Marie?
No, it is not.
Wow.
What is it?
Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's also good.
Yeah,
but you have Social Network over Zodiac. Is that it?
I put Social Network at 2 and Panic Room at 3, Zodiac at 4.
Well, you're fucked up. That's weird.
What's the one you're missing here?
Weird and
The
insane.
Game.
Oh, no,
The Game.
I see what's
I
going
always
on.
forget the
Okay,
game.
go on.
There's 12 movies.
Yeah.
Here are my rankings of the
Fincher's
Finchers.
12.
Number 1, Zodiac.
Mm.
Number 2, The Social Network. Number 3, Gone Girl.
Mm.
Those are sort of right up there.
Mhm.
The top,
Mhm.
one might say. Number 4, I have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Mhm.
Number 5, I have The Game.
Dog game.
I feel like people are probably already a little grumpy with me, but whatever.
Yeah.
I am what I am.
You
I'm
are
disagreeing with you right now.
Number 6, I have 7.
Mm-hmm.
At number 6, you have 7?
And at number 7, I have his great film 6, where he filmed that Broadway musical with his cell phone. No, actually, it's Panic Room.
Okay.
But wouldn't it be funny?
Yep.
Number 8, I have The Killer.
Wow.
And that could kind of go higher. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see. I kind of put it there safely right now. Number 9, I have Benjamin Button.
Mhm.
To be clear, these are all outstanding
Yes.
films to me.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, I have Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And I have it at 10 of 12.
Mhm.
I have Mank at 11 over Alien 3, and that feels rude, but I just didn't want Mank to be last.
Well,
Old Manky boy. He probably should be. Alien 3 should probably crawl over him.
yeah.
Imagine what Mank would think of Alien.
Okay, here's my list.
Okay.
Number 1, Zodiac. Number 2, Social Network. Number 3, Gone Girl.
All right,
Ding,
so
ding, ding.
we're right in the
Lined
same
up.
there, yeah.
Number 4, 7.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
7. I mean, the film is called 7.
Well, you put it at 6, my friend, so fuck you.
Number 4, 7. Very solid
The horse
ranking.
you rode in on. Number 5, Alien 3. I just love it.
That's
I'm
acceptable.
a fucking dang ass freak. It's just like it's
I love it.
seared into my brain. And then here's where people start getting really angry at me. Number 6, Benjamin Button.
That's great.
Number 7, Fight Club, which I do put higher than you.
Yeah.
But I think most people are throwing chairs through windows.
Maybe they should go to a Fight Club and work their feelings out.
Number 8, Dragon Tattoo. Number 9, Killer. Although you say too low on Dragon Tattoo, a film that really grew in my estimation on this rewatch. Killer, I've only seen once.
Yeah.
I could see it moving up. Number 10, Panic Room. Number 11, Doug Game. Number 12's got to be Mank. I understand the move you're making.
I almost had him over Fight Club.
You don't
and
like
I
the
thought people would
optics of
actually
it?
be too mad at me.
Yeah. I just think
I'm putting him over Fight Club. No. Fight Club's a better movie.
yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Mank's good though.
Yeah, but even for a dyed-in-the-wool Mank defender like you have to admit he's made at least 10 movies
What do
better
you
than
want
that.
from
Yeah.
me? The guy doesn't make bad
Of
movies.
course, the question is only if that movie's 11 or 12.
Like
And I
if we
think
ever do
Mank's got to be-
Scorsese, I'll be like, doing my where I'm like number 22 Casino. To be clear, I love Casino. You know what I
Well,
mean?
this is
I'll
my
be like,
fucking Cornetto trilogy thing.
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
For me.
Wow, I actually have Casino at 21. I was close.
Do you have Cape Fear dead last on your
No.
Scorsese list? Someone said you did.
I think I said once, like, is that Scorsese's worst movie? But I was
Okay.
kind of saying it in this way of like, pretty great movie to be maybe the
I like
least
Cape
essential
Fear.
film.
Cape Fear rules.
Of course, he hasn't made a bad movie. Like if someone came to me and was like, I don't like a Martin Scorsese movie, I would kind of be like, show your work, bro. I'm not with you.
Right.
Like I
know.
don't
Have
really
you
buy
seen
it.
Boxcar Bertha?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's
Boxcar
great.
Bertha is awesome.
Rocks and rolls all night
Are
long.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, don't throw Boxcar Bertha at me.
I don't
I've
know.
written,
Do to
I've
you.
written in the boxcar. I know Bertha.
I haven't seen Who's That Knocking at My Door.
I have.
I've never seen Kundun.
It's pretty good. I have. Kundun.
I need to watch
liked it.
Kundun. I need to watch Kundun.
Kundun is actually excellent. Yes.
Yeah. See, here's what I could complain about. Back in the day, we used to have Kundun. Now with Netflix, we have Tudum.
That didn't work.
Goodbye, David Fincher.
But can you blame me for taking this?
What
one?
we're doing next is a bunch of new movies first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say what's coming.
Well, next week is a Ben's Choice.
Should we announce it?
Yeah, we should, because
we
people
got
need
to.
to find this movie.
I'm sad
and
that
watch
Ben
it.
can't announce it himself, but he'll explain himself thoroughly
Yeah.
next week
I
when
believe
we
we
discuss
sent
his choice.
the poster to Marie and she said, "What is this poster you photoshopped?
I did not know this was
What
a
is
real
this movie you made up?" But of course, Ben, he of the most predictable taste in the world,
Yes.
zero zags with this man, chose, when given the power to program an episode, Lawrence Kasdan's pizza murder comedy, I Love You to Death.
He did. And we discussed it. It's been recorded. It's a great episode.
It's
Everyone's not unhinged at all on
Wild and woolly episode.
it.
Kevin Kline plays a Serbian?
No,
he's Italian.
He's married to a Serbian.
Tracy Ullman's
It was-
He plays an
Yugoslavian.
Italian, and it's very
he plays the
accurate.
It was
Horniest
hard
pizza
judging
maker.
the accents from the trailer. I'm
Oh,
fairly sure.
well, it gets no easier with the
Yeah.
feature film.
That's a movie where context makes it more confusing.
Then we're going to do Bradley Cooper's Maestro.
Mhm.
Maestro.
Then we're going to do Hayao Miyazaki's staggering masterpiece, The Boy and the Heron,
Can't wait to
which
see it.
is on the level of Maestro and I Love You to Death.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to do Aquaman 2, unless I'm stopped for some reason.
Aquaman.
Griffin has this insane thing. We can't even talk about it
No,
right now.
people.
I think I should say it.
No,
No,
don't
don't.
say it on mic.
Don't.
I think we got
Um,
to do Joker too.
That's Griffin's thing. And I'm like, I kind of just don't want to.
I agree to Aquaman 2 on the schedule if we do Joker 2 next year.
But I might take Aquaman off the schedule. That's the thing.
Well, I think you got to decide how much you want Aquaman 2.
I don't think I want it that much. I don't think I want it Joker 2 level. That's been my thing.
What about Wonka
Well, then we have to see another movie. I mean, I'll see
Like you
Wonka.
weren't already going to see
I'm
Wonka.
going to see Wonka. I'm just poor Ben has to go see Wonka or
Ben
whatever.
will probably love Wonka.
Ben will actually
He might.
Ben will
He
cry
might.
during
He
Wonka.
might. He might have his heart tickled by
He
Wonka.
might. I just love he like made chocolate.
Griffin's whole thing is like Joker Folie à Deux is like a blank check, and I'm
Absurd
like,
blank
of course it is. I don't care. I don't wish to discuss Joker. We had a bad time doing it last time,
I mean, it's a
and
musical.
the people who talk about that movie piss me off often, not always. So I'm like, do we need to go? Why watch the Ring videotape?
Look, it's in flux, but we should say our next miniseries, which will start right at the
Well, then we're also doing Ferrari.
Oh, right. We're doing Ferrari tip of
Michael Mann for
January. The reason the schedule's a little wonky here is because, and not Wonka yet, is because we have a short miniseries coming in next. And we didn't want to start it, interrupt it.
And also we have these new movies to discuss.
Exactly. There was a
Yeah.
weird kind
They're
of chunk
here.
of time here. But starting in January, Michael Mann's Ferrari,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are covering the films of Barbara Streisand.
Oh my goodness, including her Star is Born.
We're including
which
her
she did
Star is
not
Born.
direct, but she
Well,
was
she could
have
creatively
directed
right,
it.
right,
Yes.
exactly.
So
Creatively.
Star is Born, Yentl, Prince of
Invested.
Tides, Mirror has
The
two
mirror
faces.
has two faces. And on Patreon, we will be covering her mall.
in some form.
Yes.
We have a special episode planned.
We have a really special episode of
It's
two
got a bit of
very
a left turn involved.
compatible themes.
Because I don't know, there's like a half-hour video of her mall or whatever. We'll
Right.
watch that, I think, or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think Oprah did a mall tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
And by the way, if anyone listening here works at the mall and you want to give us a tour,
We're down.
Sure, or at least like sort of give us an accounting of what life is like in the mall.
I think, David, are you saying if we got the invitation to go, you would not go?
Just enough.
Enough?
Enough.
Enough? Who are you, Jennifer Lopez?
Yes, I've had enough. Michael Apted is supporting me. Jim Caviezel's in that movie? No, he's in Angel,
Angel
Eyes.
Eyes.
Who's in Enough? And
It's,
then
fuck.
if you can guess it, I'll
I
give you
can
a kiss.
almost pull it. I can almost pull it.
Oh, you're
Fuck.
not gonna pull
I
it.
wanna get outta here with a kiss.
You're not
pull this
you're not
one.
gonna
It's
pull
not,
it.
fuck. It's not Billy Campbell.
It is.
Oh
Billy
my God.
Campbell.
How?
That's crazy.
I knew it was like a fake leading man like
You know
that.
what?
It
And,
was
like,
a handsome McJaw
I
dude.
mean, no ill will to Billy Campbell.
Yes.
He's great in The Rocketeer.
Yes.
He's a totally fun actor.
Yes.
But he kind of became that guy where you're like, wow, you really needed somebody, huh?
I was doing the math in my head and I was like, it's too early for Michael Weatherly.
right.
It's someone I knew the type of guy it was.
It's not Billy Burke.
No.
Who is it?
No, he's got a little too much
He's
character.
got, right. He's got a little grit to him.
Yeah.
Billy Campbell, that guy's just a walking smile.
Perfectly cast.
Although I assume he's
And Rocketeer.
a villainous person.
Yeah, he's
In
the
Enough?
abusive
He's the
husband.
abusive
Yeah.
husband, right?
Yeah.
She's had enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, check out our Michael Apted miniseries where we will discuss Enough.
Mhm.
Podnuffcast.
Committing to it here.
Mm-hmm.
You know my new thing I want to do on the Reddit anytime anyone says, any chance of a blank miniseries? Just go, yes, we're doing that next.
Some chance. Yeah. Oh,
Just-
no.
no,
Oh, yep,
just
it's in the
response,
books. Yep.
yes, that's what we're doing next to every single suggestion. Because what I need to do is post on the Reddit more.
Yeah, that's what you need to do.
That's what I need to do.
Goodbye, David Fincher. Make
Goodbye.
another movie and we'll talk about you again.
Or
That's
make
my
another
challenge
movie.
to you. Or make another movie.
Mank 2.
Mank 2.
Still manking.
Colon Joe.
Oh, Mank Legacy, Joe?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Joe Origins?
Joe Origins.
Yeah.
Do an All About Eve movie.
Yeah,
Be fun.
it'd be fun. Marie?
You could
Yes.
do just a TCM movie. Ben Mankiewicz.
Josh Mankiewicz of Dateline.
Sure. Bring him in.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. Is Ben's Fincher miniseries name Ben Mankiewicz?
Yes. Sure.
That's too funny not to do, even though it doesn't actually.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, but we got to do it. Right?
Sure.
Okay, so Ben has graduated to a new miniseries.
I just
title.
foolishly went to Ben Mankiewicz's, Wikipedia page to check if he
You
was
mean
in
his
Mank.
Mankopedia page?
His Mankopedia page to check. Oh, is he in Mank in some jokey way?
No.
And then I control F'd Mank on his page and it lit up. I don't know. It seems like the word Mankiewicz is all over this fucker.
Okay, so Ben.
And he is in that movie. He's the broadcaster of the Academy Awards. He's
Oh,
the
wow.
voice. Isn't that sweet?
That's sweet.
Yep.
Ben, we love you. We
Yes.
miss you.
Yeah.
Sure. Ben,
he'll
Ben, we'll be
you'll
back,
hear
to
him
be clear.
next week.
Yes.
Your new miniseries name is Ben Mankiewicz.
Yep.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe.
Hell yeah.
David, okay, but I want you to
David's
remember
going
what's
to the
on the docket
bathroom.
when you get out of the bathroom. Go take care of your business, but then you got business when you get out of here again. Thank you for our social media and helping to produce the show today more than usual.
You're welcome, Griffin.
But you're always doing heavy lifting.
Aw.
Thank you to AJ McKeon, Alex Barron for our editing, Pat Reynolds, Joe Bowen for our artwork, Lee Montgomery, The Great American Owl for our theme song, JJ Birch for the very quick killer turnaround dossier. Tune in next week for I Love You to Death. Go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including our Patreon Blank Check special features where we do commentaries on film series, finishing up Brosnan, going into... Can we say it here? I think it'll be announced at this point.
Yeah, it was already announced in the
Yeah.
most
it's
recent
announced.
Brosnan episode.
Yeah, we're really
Austin
up against
Powers.
it with that one, right?
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. It's going to be a very shagadelic miniseries.
Right.
And as always, David, you owe me a kiss.
Oh, wait, I have to kiss you on mic?
Kiss me on the cheek on mic.
Wait,
I
why
kissed
are we?
Billy Campbell.
Oh my god!
said I
Hold on,
couldn't
need to
do
get a
it, and I
picture
did
of
it.
Wait, no, go back. I need
Go
to get a
back,
picture.
go back.
I need a picture.
And make it louder for the mic.
Oh, that was beautiful, guys.